Okay, everybody, it looks like we're live and we're in the house. Hey, everybody, what's going on? We got Bertram here, we got Ebony in the house, and let me just work on my sound again. Always sound checking, always sound checking. Right, working on my sound. Everything's going well there, going good here. Good. Yeah, what's going on, everybody, man? First of all, just want to say what's good to people? What's good to everybody out there? What's good to the Bertram out there in New York, living that life? And and
I'm in the
Ebony.
belly of the beast. Belly of the beast, where it's all happening. We're staying ahead of the UK. We don't want to be feel alone in ineptitude in terms of leadership. So we're staying ahead of you, staying ahead of the game.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, it's interesting being in New York. Actually, I have friends who have all escaped New York. A lot of them gone on to down south, North Carolina or Atlanta, to get away from New York. But I'm still here, so trying to
Cool,
fight it
cool.
out.
And Ebony, how you getting on, man? How you getting on?
I'm all right. Uh, Lockdown. I'm not completely locked down because I'm at work and I have to go to work. I can't do my job at home, but when I have to stay, if I have to stay in, my backside is in. And as Jamaicans say, "Tanaya yard." And I do stay in my yard when I have to. Unless I have to go to work, I stay in my yard. But yeah, I mean, we've got 3 weeks extension in the UK to the lockdown, which is understandable because we don't know how much more serious this COVID-19 epidemic is. I believe personally that they're holding back on info, but then again, this is a government that sat on it for since January, and then only let us know in March. So you know it, they may say that the curve is flattening, but I'm very skeptical about anything that comes out of their mouths, especially if your name's Matt Hancock.
Yeah.
Well, I say one thing though.
Oh, hold on.
The
Sorry.
most
There you go.
the most difficult thing for informed people to do is to say they don't know. And what we have learned from this whole situation is the scientists or politicians, individuals who are supposed to be so-called experts, they don't know a lot. And the thing that jumps out at me more than anything else is initially we were told not to wear masks. We should save the mask for the healthcare workers. You'll need to wear a mask. And now we're being told everyone needs to wear a mask. Now, anyone with a common sense would tell you that if you're saying you have a virus, it's passed by some fluid, some kind of liquid, and it can hit your face, your nose, your eyes, your mouth, and you can catch the virus that way. I'm not sure why anybody in their right mind would say you should not wear a mask. But the CDC, who is the governing body here, who is our supposed organization with all the expertise, is what everyone has been told to follow. And they have provided conflicting information to people about how they should protect themselves. And that's been extremely disappointing. But a lot of people say it's not, we don't know, we're learning as we go along, and we'll update the advice as time progresses, but no one wants to really do that. They want to be experts, they want to give guidance, and the guidance is conflicted. So interesting times.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think we are all generalists when it comes to C19. We're not specialists. And I think the mask was indicative of how much we are trying to learn about it because there's still proof that it's not airborne. So we kind of know it's not airborne. But if somebody sneezes in the air or if they sneeze and leave droplets lying around the place, it does help. And also, I think what's important is if you're at work, say for instance, like Ebony is at the moment, it's essential because you don't know who's walking by you, who sneezed, got it on their clothes, and then brushing past people and touching it. We don't know. So the mask, I think for me, the only thing with the mask that's important is this virus does not transmit unless you touch your face. It can't just jump on your face. It has to have some source of transmission. And 99.9% is the transmission would be whatever you're touching, it would be with your hands. Yeah. I'm sure there's another percent that will jump in there that will make up the numbers, but 99% of the transmission of the virus would be with your hands to face. So I would think in that respect, putting the mask on is quite important. I've even done a video to say you don't need masks because scientifically you don't. But if you're a worker and if you want max protection, you have to wear one. There's no doubt about it. Tony, what's good, man? How you getting on?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm just I'm a dubious person. I question a lot of these so-called experts' opinions. I'm not saying I'm in no way a virologist. I'm not a biochemist, but just common sense tells me something that just only is dangerous when you touch your face doesn't make sense. And if you want to see that one, the woman who has the gloves on and puts the ketchup on her hands and shows you how effective not touching your face is, will show you that.
Right,
So you don't in my eyes, the people who are saying you just need to touch your face and that isn't the only thing for me, because I look at kids. I'm a behavior specialist, yeah. I'm a behavior mentor in school, and I look at the way children do what they do, and quite simply, I can see germs floating from child to child to child to child, and it's got nothing to do with squeezing in your hands. It's just got to do with the way that humans are.
Yeah, I think there's, and again, going back to what Bertram said, there's still so much we don't know about about what's actually going on. Transmission is just a guess. We don't know, and I think if you highlight the things what you just said, Tony, that goes a big way into. I mean, that's where most of the of diseases and whatever is transferred in colleges, schools, nurseries. And that's the reason why, as I said, when a parent finds out that a kid in reception has got chickenpox, they rush their they rush their kids. They'll say, "Oh, Ian's having a party on Saturday, and he's got chickenpox," and the parents all rush their children to go and get it because they want their kids to get it early. They want their kids to get that immunity build up and them antibodies. So it's kind of like, in a sense, that's what England was trying to do in the beginning, and that's what Sweden's trying to do. And has it worked? I don't really know, but because now we're hearing that some people who have had it are not showing viable antibodies. Which, do you see what I'm saying? So that throws all of it out of the question now, bro. Look, we're still learning.
That whole strategy only works when people don't die, right? Kids are not dying from me. If you get people are dying, that strategy goes out the window. So I'm not sure what Sweden is trying. Or what Sweden's trying to achieve by what they're doing. The infection rate is increasing, frankly.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what that strategy entails, because those only work if you want to get people infected. You know they're not going to die. You can get it over with. People are dying, so don't buy that strategy.
Okay, guys, we're going to carry on. We're trying to get Arsenal vlogs in at the moment. Arsenal vlog, I need you to inbox me on Facebook or wherever, on Twitter, and I'll send you the link to join the show. I can't send the link out to everybody, or else I'll have 100 people trying to get onto the show. So inbox me that, and then I'll send it over to you. But guys, listen, it's good to hear you guys are doing.
I just want to talk just very briefly to Bertram. Sweden's figures show a very high number of cases. What you haven't highlighted is they still have very few deaths, which only shows that they're testing more people. If you were to test everybody who in the UK, you would probably find 5-10 times as many people have contracted it, but you're still going to have the same number of people dying.
I think
I'll give you the exact figure just in case you don't know. We will have 1,500 people dead. 1,500 people. That's way less than the whole of London. You're on mute. You're on mute, Bertram.
Is he on mute?
I apologize. How diverse is their population? Disproportionate amount of people, of brown people, are the ones dying. Black, Hispanic, especially where I live in New York and the US, disproportionately. In some states, the population is 30%, yet 70% of Black and brown people are dying. There is no comparison.
Sweden's population is not that diverse. I've been
exactly. They're like Switzerland. Well, better than Switzerland, but conceptually.
If you go, Bertram, let me give you another figure. Yeah, if you go to California, guess what the ratio is? 3% Black in a much more diverse state. 3% Black are dying in comparison to white. So some of these stats are just there to make you panic. Yeah, of course, in New York, where you've got huge amounts of Black people living in what is a very confined area with inability to access certain stuff. Yeah, some of those statistics are way off. Yeah, what's the percentage death in Africa?
So Illinois, Louisiana, New York, Michigan, I can keep going and going. There are no comparative in terms of the numbers of the ratio of people who are non-Caucasian. I'm going to use those in general terms, not just saying Blacks. Blacks and Hispanic are dying at an alarming rate versus the rest of the population, an alarming rate. Now, granted, I would say this. We haven't done the best job of how we nourish ourselves. We have a lot of other contributing factors that affect our health, which contributes to this. But a lot of it goes to inequity in terms of you think about poverty and you think about people who are disproportionately in terms of their financial situation. That also goes above racial lines, actually. But it doesn't explain the entirety of it. And it's because we won't spend all our discussion here talking about this. Obviously, we want to talk about Arsenal. But I'll say this, though, is that where I live and in, say, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, more about Philadelphia nowadays, we go to all the major metropolitan areas. And systemic racism has a lot to do with this, by the way. There's a big program on CNN last night at 10 o'clock. We're talking about this, which I agree with a lot of what they said, has a lot to do with what we're seeing today. My only hope about this is that this will help to change behavior, change how we operate as a country and a world, and we're humane in how we engage and interact, and we realize that the inequities that we have across the world has to change.
Yeah,
we cannot come out of the situation, do the same thing we did before,
I think
allowing people to live the way they did before, and realizing that the difference between the haves and the have-nots is so disproportionate, it cannot be maintained.
And the fact that the haves still want some of the piece of the pie, they still want some of the surplus money, they still want some of the stimulus packages, it makes me sick to my stomach. I mean, we're going to talk about Arsenal today. In fact, no, you know what? I'm going to push that subject. I'm going to push it first to the list now, because this is what makes me sick about Arsenal. The fact that none of the Premier League clubs have really committed themselves as a whole unit. We know Southampton and West Ham from the board and the management team and things like that have made commitments. But today, well, not today, believe it was yesterday, Arsenal fully came out and said that they are going to shave 12.5% off players' wages. And the incentive there is if they make the Champions League, then they get that money back. If they make the Europa League, then that 12.5% goes to a 7.5% pay cut. So essentially, if you're on 100 grand a week, that's 12.5 grand or 7.5 grand. It's not a lot. And this comes off the back of today's news, where Roma in Italy have taken a 4-month cut in wages. 4-month cut in wages. So I don't even know. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna welcome in Arsenal Vlogs as well. Arsenal Vlogs.
Hello.
How you doing, mate?
I've just reached my 1,000 subscribers.
Oh, you've just reached. Okay, congratulations. Congratulations, 1,000 subscribers for his channel.
Thank you
Well
very
done, mate. I was just about to give that a shout out to make sure you got over the line. But we're talking about now Arsenal having with their pay cut and what this all means. So, Ebony, you've been on mute for a bit, so I'll let you start first on this one.
Right. So they're taking a 7.5 or 12.5 pay cut. That's nothing. What is that? You know, why can't these players? These players are on mega money. These players are multi-millionaires. I don't care what anyone says. All right. You know, there are people out here who are not footballers, who are not entertainers, who are not millionaires. They're taking months pay cut, i.e. no money. These people a lot of these people now are having to go on universal credit. So so are Arsenal telling us really and truly that you know that it's justifiable, but 12.5% or 7.5%, whether they make the Champions League or Europa? You know, it's ridiculous. Come on now. I mean, they can afford it. You know, I can't stress enough how much they can afford it. They can afford it. They're multi-millionaires. They're getting paid at least 50 grand a week. You know, what about a 4-month cut like Roma are doing? You know, other teams across the world are taking like cuts, like decent cuts, where you think to yourself, you know what, I commend you, because you're actually thinking about the fans. You're thinking about the fact that a lot of your fans have no money. You're thinking about the fact that your fans will not be able to buy a season ticket because they're not working. They can't afford it this year. They're going to have to watch it in a pub somewhere come next season. I just think it's paltry, quite frankly.
Well, I mean, there's some more context on this as well. We have to also remind ourselves that the board level, in terms of Vinay, Raul Sally, these guys have taken a third of a cut. So they've taken 33% pay cut. And not only that, but the owner, Stan Kroenke, has finally fessed up that he will be putting a significant contribution to shore things up. Now, that's all he said. So by my calculation, the word shore things up could mean two things. It could mean, one, that he's just going to grade a stimulus package for the club itself. So he could put 50 million in. Yeah, that could just be a flat figure. Or the second thing is, because we lost 27 million last year and we're going to probably lose the same amount again, I think that what Stan Kroenke means is he's either going to pay for whatever losses that we occur in the coming tax year. So if we make another 27 million loss, then he's going to put that money in. But again, I don't know whether that means he's going to put the cash injection in, or, and this is important, guys, or whether Kroenke is going to put that money in as a loan to say, all right, I'm going to cover my losses for the club, but then at some point when things are going better again, I'm going to take the money back out. Yeah, I really don't know. We really don't know. And quite frankly, I was shocked to see that he made that statement in the first place. So is there anything you got to finish off with that, Ebony? Oh, okay. Hold on. Yep. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, okay, so, you know, Sinelli and, you know, the other guy are taking 33%. Okay, that's considerably a bit more than what the players are getting. But then I don't know whether, you know, the likes of Sinelli are getting more than the players per year. I don't know, but that's not the point. The point is the players can afford to take a pay cut. You know, we are in a pandemic right now, and I just think that they need to rethink. I mean, if it was me, it would be a case of everyone's getting a 50% pay cut or a 4-month pay cut, or the same, or the pay cut will be the length of how long the shutdown is. That's what I would do.
Okay, so also big shout out to Kez, big shout out to Aaron in the chat. Aaron, where the hell have you been, man? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, but it would be good to know what you guys' views are on this as well. Let me go to before I go to Bertram, let me go to Arsenal Vlogs and get your opinion on this. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts on the ridiculous sum a percentage on the pay cut?
Well, in my opinion, first is first. Thanks for having me on the panel. But no, what I think Stan Kroenke's got something part to play on this, because if Kroenke, obviously, we know that Stan Kroenke doesn't care anything about the club, and what she said earlier, I think it's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. I think the players can obviously afford it. I think the players should obviously donate with the money and all that stuff. And I kind of feel if we do get this 12.5%, if we do qualify for the Champions League of the season comes back, then I think obviously we can pay it. And if we don't, we get Europa League for 7.5%. But I just feel this pay cut is ridiculous, really. I just feel like obviously Stan Kroenke's never put anything into the football club. And will Stan Kroenke do it, though? Like, do we trust the board? Like, for example, Ozil's on £350,000 a week. They're going to have to reduce players' wages and all that stuff. And they have to do it. They have to do it. So I look at it right. I think they will. And I think Stan Kroenke will have to do it. Because if he doesn't do it, it's a joke, in my opinion.
Yeah, 18 is saying he thinks the pay cut is a joke.
It is.
Well. He's saying a great panel. But I think Kroenke has been a bit sneaky, and I'm going to call him out before any of this goes on, because we've seen owners, and I'm talking about the Man United owners, Chelsea's owner, Abramovich. In fact, Abramovich actually borrowed the 600 million he used to purchase Chelsea. Can you imagine that? He didn't even purchase them outrightly. He borrowed the money against his own company to pay for the football club, which should be illegal. You can't do that nowadays. But that just goes to show you some of the backass-handed things that used to happen in football back in the day. And I just don't know. I think that Kroenke might do a Man United, and he might take the money put the money into the club as a loan and then take it back with interest. I don't know. He's sneaky. I don't trust anybody at that level, seriously. Bertram, what's your thoughts on that?
So I differ from the general populace, maybe because maybe I'm a capitalist by nature. I'm not sure why someone's asking me to take a pay cut. I have a contract. My contract stipulates a certain pay I get. So if Arsenal makes a ton more money than they expected to make, do I get a pay raise immediately? If Arsenal is going to make a turnover of 400 million and they make 800 million, do I double my compensation? I don't understand that logic. I hear this thing in Europe all the time, and everyone losing their mind about taking a pay cut. I've heard the NBA taking a pay cut. I've heard Hamilton taking a pay cut. I've heard the NHL taking a pay cut. If a player wants to contribute his own money to the NHS or any other organization, that should be of his own volition. Why are we shaming them to take a pay cut? Did Boris Johnson take a pay cut? Did the Parliament in the UK take a pay cut? I am flabbergasted to hear someone telling me I signed a contract, you're going to pay me a certain amount of money, and I don't hear the financial services. People in the financial services make more than some footballers. You guys be clear on that. Make more than some footballers. Ozil may make £80 million a year. There are people in financial services who make more than £80 a year. Hedge fund managers make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. I don't hear anyone going across the board saying everyone in society who makes a certain amount, what's the cutoff? Is it £100,000 a week? Is it 200,000? Is it 300,000? This ludicrous notion that a player who signs a contract to be compensated should take a pay cut because society believes it's the right thing to do. Let the players make their own decision. Stop trying to shame them about how much they make and that they should take a pay cut. If you're going to do that, then have a level playing field. Everybody who makes a certain amount, so you could be a regular person in the street who deliver product, but you make $100,000 a year, and you take a pay cut and make $80,000. Someone has a lot of feedback. Someone just joined, have a lot of feedback.
Right.
But this concept of shaming people that they pay the cut is ludicrous and makes no sense to me. You sign a contract, the contract has been written, all parties agree to it. So we're going to do, is a pay cut to satisfy Stan Kroenke, to help Arsenal, to help the NHS? Who are we trying to help here? What are we shaming the footballers to help?
I think the answer to that question is twofold, and I think first of all, you're helping the club, because they're the people that have employed you. And I'm not defending it. I actually think you've got a good argument, Bertram. I really do. But looking at the mechanics of how the money works and the fact that teams are going to be making some considerable losses, and not so much the Premiership teams, but the lower league teams who's already had 125 million injected into their leagues. But in the Premiership, take a team like Arsenal. Arsenal are going to be losing 3.5 million at the gate receipts and concessions, and they're also going to be losing TV revenue money as well, or sponsorship revenue money, if that is pulled. We still haven't heard if that's going to happen yet, but they are quite within their rights to do that. The problem is the amount of money. We've got 9 games left, and 5 of those games are at home. So 5 times 3.5 million means that you've got somewhere around 18 million in losses from gate receipts and concessions. So everything, remember, as a football club, your projected earnings is always down on the books. You know how much money you're going to make, you know where that money's going, you know how to facilitate the spread, and you work your balance accordingly. I'll come to you in a minute, Tony. What's happening now is that teams are showing considerable losses to the point where players are saying, okay, you know what, this club hired me, I signed for this club, I love this club, I'm going to help the club out by taking a drop in salary. That's why the players are doing it. That's what I've been told by many agents, not 1 or 2, but many football agents have told me that. They've said their client is more than happy to help the club back in terms of the amount of losses that they are going to occur. Remember,
Apollo, they have no choice. You guys have shamed them into giving the money back. You have destroyed them. You have shamed them so badly, they have no choice. I see you talk about Anderson, what Anderson's doing for their collective players. You have shit first of all, it starts with a politician. For a politician to tell a player to take a pay cut is ludicrous, because they're not taking a pay cut. They're getting a raise, for Christ's sake. So shaming people about how much they get compensated. We all know they get paid. We all know they probably got overpaid. We all agree with they compensated well. But let's not, because they're prominent, they're always in our faces, we're going to use them as a scapegoat. Then across the board, across society, whether it's doctors, lawyers, hedge fund managers, financial service people, let everybody take a pay cut. If we're so hell-bent on redistributing wealth, because that's what we're doing, we want to redistribute this wealth for the players, but not for other disciplines, not for other professions. That is not fair. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's scapegoating.
I'm going to go to Tony, and you're right. I don't disagree, Bertrand, but I think it goes higher. I only made a point with the club, but then there's the sponsors as well. There's a reason why Ronaldo, the best player in the world, has forfeited 9 million of his salary. And when he done that, who was the first people to congratulate him? It was his sponsors. In other words, that must have come down from his sponsors to say, look, you're our image. You're the image of our sports brand. We need you to do this because this is how it will look, and blah, blah, blah. And the rest is history.
And he's also a billionaire.
Yeah, of course. Tony, before I hand over to the new guys, Tony, let's go to you on this one.
Okay. You're giving a good case for your arguments, but it's kind of actually right back in the middle between the 2 arguments, because yes, you're right, Bertram. The players shouldn't feel the onus is on them to give. Yeah, I understand your capitalist model, and ultimately, I read it somewhere this week, and it's just sort of played in my mind. Capitalism equals greed. Simple as that. Apollo, with some of your statistics, they're not quite right. Yeah, they're not quite right, because look at that the food side of Arsenal's operation is run by Delaware. Yeah, they decided early doors that they were going to do what they were going to do. Yeah, it has nothing to do with Arsenal. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. So if Arsenal wanted to pay Delaware 100% of the money, it would make no difference, because Delaware are the third party catering for not just Arsenal, but for a number of Premier League clubs up and down the country, and 3rd and 4th division teams. So you have to totally discount that. That's a different company. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I had this argument today.
Yeah. Sorry, Tony.
Victoria Beckham company.
Tony, the free. Sorry, Tony. The $3.5 million is only gate money. It doesn't include concessions. That's why I said and concessions.
Yeah, but again, Apollo, the gate money, 3/4 of that money is already paid up front. It's by season ticket, so the money is already in their pockets.
Not necessarily, Tony.
Yeah, so they haven't lost on the gate. A quarter of it is a negligible amount. It's a negligible amount, Apollo. It really is, because guess what? That money isn't going to go away. Yeah, those games are still going to get paid. Yeah, the only problem is if they cut the season off and say, right, we're not playing the games. And guess what? There's only 10 games left, 9 games left. So pretty much you're going to get those games played, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because they're talking about now playing behind closed doors, and that looks like that's definitely going to be a thing. People are just not going to be in a hurry to go back and sit next to each other in any respect. I'm talking about going to Jill Scott in July, and my wife looked at me and was like, honey, that ain't going to happen, man. Jill Scott is not coming over here, and even if she does, I'm not leaving my house to go and sit next to 8,000 people in the O2 Centre to go and listen to her sing. But listen, you guys, Bertram, Tony, you've made...
Hello? Guess what? I guarantee you, the day the government says everybody's allowed to go out, everybody's going to the usual venues, the usual food shops, the usual restaurants, the usual hangouts, pubs, etc. Because we are gagging to go and have a pint with the lads. Gagging.
Yeah,
don't believe the hype. We want that.
Yeah, not all of us. Not all of us. Tony.
You might not. Yeah. I guarantee.
Guys, I want to say one thing with the next person, Apollo. Let me just say this, which people are forgetting.
Yeah.
Every single pound that the players make over a certain amount, I think it's 150, 45% goes to HMRC. Let me repeat that. Every single pound, unless they have some nice independent setup where they can move money offshore,
like
every single pound, 45% goes to HMRC, right? So I get £2. The Queen gets 40. The Queen gets what after 45? They get 45% of my £2.
Wow.
Get 90 pence of my £2. That's a lot of money that goes into the coffers for all the society. So this concept of I get £100,000, I take it home and buy my Lamborghini, that is crap. £45,000 of that £100,000 goes into HMRC. That's a lot of money that doesn't go with the players. They get 55. They don't even get 55 because you get what? 20% of the first £39,000, whatever the construct is. But most of that money is not being taken home. It's being serviced HMRC, NHS, and all the other public facilities that you have. That money goes to that pot. So
yeah, I mean, well,
it sounds nice in the media. It sounds nice in the media, and it sounds nice in newspaper to use this huge number of Ozil take home 350. No, he doesn't.
Yeah, not necessarily all that money, Bertram, because remember, the national insurance is what facilitates the health, and they've just put that up to 12%. So, but 12% of their earnings is still a lot of money, as you've said. I want to.
That's off the top. That's off the top.
Yeah, I want to come to the new guys here. Arsenal Vlogs, I know you've had your say. The other new guy, what do we call you? What do we call you?
You can call me Nathan.
Nathan. All right, Nathan. Yeah. Nathan, what's your thoughts on this 12.5%? You can see how passionate our panel is about it. What's your views on it, mate? And then look, there is no right or wrong answer, just opinions.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand football players are such an easy target, aren't they? Because, you know, everyone just thinks that he's kind of flashy, you know, very kind of materialistic guys. But what I think, what was it Tony saying that before, or someone actually knows? Is it Kadeem or is he Bertrand?
Bertram.
Yeah, Bertrand. Yeah, so, like spot on. Like what people are forgetting, and I don't understand why it's not better understood. But these footballers have already been paying for the NHS for many years, literally and they're paying a substantial amount towards the NHS as well every week. So it's crazy to kind of come out and attack footballers when there's far higher earners all over the UK than footballers. It's just because they're such an easy target that it's all over the papers. So I don't really think the players should take the pay cut, but at the same time, I'm kind of indifferent because it's for the most part, it's not really going to affect them either way, is it? So I don't think they should do, but I don't really care that they do either.
Yeah, it's a good point. And as I said, there's no right or wrong answer here, just opinions. And I'm on both sides really, and I see both sides. I see the business side, which I work a lot with football agents and writers, and then I see the fan side. I'm a season ticket holder, a vlogger, and so I kind of see the both sides. But for me, it's like if I had that kind of money, I would be doing more to help. I also speak to sponsors as well, and a few of our followers work with Carlsberg and have got us into the club seats, and we've talked to sponsors, and they want the players to do it. And I think what I've seen, which annoys me with the players, is sometimes the players don't want to do anything like that. They're forced to do it by their sponsors, and that's what gets me annoyed, because I think, hold on, if I'm making that kind of money, I don't need no sponsor to go down and help my local care home or my local charities or anything. I would just go and do that off my back. So that's what annoys me, and I think some of the frustrations with why people are questioning football players is for that reason. But Nathan, spot on, good point in terms of why are rugby players, why are cricketers in IP20 are making loads, 400 grand a week, 300 grand a week. They're making more than some of these footballers. Why aren't they being called out? Yeah, listen, I wrote an article about footballers and salaries because people were complaining why they're overpaid and 100 grand a week. And I actually did an article, and Tony and Ebony, you might remember this was on 101, as you as well, Bertram, and it was stating that footballers are some of the lowest earners in world sport in comparison to most other sports: NBA, NFL, NHL, baseball, Formula One. Lewis Hamilton is making 8 times more than someone like Harry Kane or Aubameyang. Wow. We talk about them like they're these, they're the whistles and bells of earnings. They're really not. And also, I was talking about a decade ago, our Arsenal players were getting paid peanuts, and the likes of people like John Terry and that were getting paid. They were already on 100 grand a week a decade ago. And here we are talking about 100 grand a week in football being a lot of money. It's really not. You know what I'm saying? It's really not. If you're playing cricket in the IPL and you're getting 300-400 grand a week, that puts some of our footballers to shame. But I just want to pass this on. Have you finished with your point, Nathan?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, Ebony, I'm going to let you back in here. Actually, no, that's not Ebony. That's Tony. Ebony, is your mic working okay at the moment? Ebony, you with us?
It looks like she's frozen.
Yeah, it looks like she's frozen. All right, I'm going to come back to her in a second. So, guys, listen, let's move on. You are with us. Have you got anything to add to that, Ebony? I know you've had your say already. I just wanted to check before I moved on.
I think she froze again.
All right, okay. All right, let's carry on from where we left off last week when we were rating our players. So we did the midfield. Let's get this banner up. So we did the goalkeeper, we did the defense, we did the midfield, and we've got the strikers now. So Nathan and Arsenal Vlogs, if you obviously missed last week's show, what we did is we were grading the players out of 10 for the season so far, and we had a good laugh doing this because under Arteta, some of the players have been amazing. But at the beginning of the season under Emery, some of them were shocking, absolutely shocking. So it really played around with some of the grades because it's, some players who deserved an 8 or a 9 under Arteta would probably get a 2 or a 3 under Emery. So it was finding that balance. And so we're doing the strikers now, and we're on to Bertram's favorite player, Mesut Ozil. we're on to Ozil. So Bertram, I'm going to do you the courtesy of going first. What's your views out of 10 for Mesut Ozil? And the guys in the chat, let's hear your marks out of 10 for Ozil so far this season.
So he's played, I think, 18 PL games. He has, I think, 1 goal. Does he have any assists? I can't recall.
Yeah, he's got 3 assists, I believe. 3 assists.
So 1 goal, 3 assists, and I compare him to the Madisons and the Mason Mount and the David Silvas of the world. That's his compatriots. And I would say, look, I'm not an Ozil fan, so let's not pretend like I'm going to give him a great grade, because I don't think he produces. Forget about his salary. Not talking about his compensation, just his contributions on the field. He doesn't play defense. He doesn't score goals. He's not private for having assists. He doesn't drive by people. He's not creating mismatches. I give him a 5, and I'm being very generous.
Wow, that's a lot coming from you. I was expecting a lot worse. Tony, talk to me, man. Mesut Ozil.
I cannot believe Bertram just gave Mesut Ozil a 5.
Maybe.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So all that we've heard. Okay.
He caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared to discuss ratings at all.
Listen, I just want to say, hold on, Tony. I just want to say,
can I revise my grade? Can I?
No, you can't. No, we're gonna keep it at that. 18's gone for a 6. Stephen, welcome to the chat, mate. Stephen's gone for a 2. Wow, I thought. Hold on, Tony, can you check if Bertram's got a second account called Stephen OT, please? Aaron, you haven't put a figure for him.
I deserve that.
you haven't got a figure from Aaron. Mark out of 10. And also, Kez, very respectable 5. What is that? 5B? Is that a 5B? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the B is for. But 5 anyway. Tony, let's get you back in, Tony. Tony, Mesut Ozil.
Okay, Mesut Ozil. I cannot give him a 5. I just can't give him a 5 because you're apparently the most creative player on the field, or supposed to be, and are being played as a luxury player in order to be that creative player. If you look at him compared to Saka, it's like birds and bees. They're not even playing the same sport. So the goal is a 3.5.
Okay, 3.5. Ebony.
Thank you, Tony.
Ebony, Mesut Ozil, what would you grade him? This is unbelievable. What would you grade him out of 10?
Okay, I'd grade him a 4.5. There've been magical moments, but for me, there hasn't been enough of them. There have been, for me personally, he's been played as one of those players whereby when he is on the pitch, sometimes it looks like he can't be bothered. He's one of these players that if you don't play the ball to him, he's not gonna fight for it. Yes, there have been moments where he has, but that's been few and far between. So I just think at times he's been lazy. He hasn't played like the player that we saw at Real Madrid or when we first bought him, which was nearly 6 years, which is what 7 years ago nearly. So and because of his laziness at times, because of his I'm sick, I've got this headache and that headache, and I've got a period pain. I'm giving him 4.5.
Okay.
He needs to do better.
Okay, 4.5. Okay. Nathan.
Rating. It's a tough one. What, just for this season?
For the whole season. For the whole of this season.
Yeah, not his whole career, just this season.
No, just this.
Yeah, I'd probably do a generous 5 because I don't think he's been disastrous, but he's just been on a steady decline, hasn't he, for a long time now. And yeah, he's actually, I think statistically, he might actually be working harder than he's ever done before for Arsenal. Which is funny enough this season, I think, in terms of like.
So on top of that, he's created more chances under Arteta than anybody else.
No,
and he's
literally, in terms of distance covered on a pitch, I think he's actually working harder than he's ever done before. But
yeah, I think he's fourth in the team.
Yeah, he's simply not got that kind of pace, agility, burst anymore. So he can't create space. He's not even kind of producing those kind of brilliant passes anymore. Yeah, he's really in decline. So, and he's one of my favorite players of all time, by the way. But I think this summer, I think it's one of the most important things. I said it in Arsenal Vlogs podcast earlier. It's one of the most important things that Arsenal need to do this summer is get rid of him, especially with the kind of COVID impacts on money in football. It's absolutely imperative that they get him off the wage bill.
Agreed. Arsenal Vlogs, we're going to go to you. What's your marks out of 10 for Mesut Ozil this season?
You know what? My rating with Mesut Ozil, I'm going to give him a 4, in my opinion. This season, overall, like what she said, we haven't seen the Ozil as he was at Real Madrid, when he had players around like Cristiano Ronaldo, Di Maria, Benzema. He had players out there. And the problem with Ozil is he never turns up against the big games. He never tracks back. He never produces. He might have the odd 1 or 2 good games. But other than that, for me, we've got to get rid of him. We've got to get rid of him. With him £350,000 a week, personally, in my hands, it's going to be very, very difficult to get rid of him because of the wage bill is a problem. But I think Ozil this season, he's not been that great. And don't get me wrong, when he first came in, everybody was buzzing. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. As MB Lurk said, he's probably one of my favourite signings since he came in. And I think Ozil, for me, he's got to go, in my opinion. I think he could be easy replaced. There's players out there like Jack Grealish, Maddison. There's players out like there who can come in. So I'm going to give Ozil a 4 out of 10. Been poor this season.
Okay, right. So for me, I think we know he was exiled under Emery, and that hurt Emery more than it did give him an advantage, because we had created less chances. We weren't scoring at all. We went through our worst drought in 25 years because of that decision. And things improved when he put Mesut Ozil back into the team. But for me, the damage was already done. I think the revelation with what he's done under Arteta has been fantastic. Under Arteta, he's been used slightly differently in the number 10 role. You guys saw the podcast last week where I was talking to Graham from AFTV, and we were discussing how he's been able to facilitate helping Pepe on the right, because Bellerin has just not given Pepe that kind of help and support or anything in the overlap. And Ozil's been used for that over the last 2 or 3 games, and that's been working. He's obviously, as Nathan has said as well, his kilometers, he's 4th in the team in kilometers run. So he definitely is putting in a shift at the moment, but he just isn't the player that he used to be. I think we can all agree that. It's frustrating to see him not shoot when he gets into positions where he can. So I look at some of the goals that he scored, running in late into the box, shooting outside of the box, and he's just not doing those things anymore. So look, by all accounts, I love him as a player, but he obviously isn't the player that he has been. However, the verdict is, how has he been this season? I'm going to give him a healthy 6 out of 10, because he's assumed that responsibility that he needed to do under Arteta, and Arteta hasn't dropped him because, and believe me, if Arteta didn't feel he was doing enough, he would drop him. Yeah, we all know where Arteta's mindset is at the moment. But for me, I think Arteta is getting exactly what he wants out of Ozil at the moment. And that combination of Ceballos and Ozil is working well for our front three. And I give Ozil a healthy 6. And so cheers for that. Guys in the chat, thanks for that input as well.
Probably you're making me nauseous.
I hope so. Guys, we're going to go with Emil Smith-Rowe. And guys in the chat as well, let's hear your verdict this season for Emil Smith-Rowe. If you want me to go first, guys, I will, because some of the guys in the chat might have not heard what he's been doing this season with Huddersfield. But for me, he's never disappointed when he's had the chance. although also he's had injuries to deal with. So this season's loan has been very important at Huddersfield. But in 704 minutes of football in 10 games, he's created 19 chances for them, and he's scored one. He's had a goal and assisted in 2 goals as well, and the future just looks promising for him. Yeah. He's been touted on their forums as one of their best players this season, and he looks really promising. Look, before this season started, I went out on a limb and said he's going to be Ramsey's replacement, and I stand by that when he comes back into the team. Not last season, but the season before, he was our best player in pre-season. Last season, our best player in pre-season was actually Eddie Nketiah. Eddie couldn't stop scoring in pre-season. But I think I'm giving Emil Smith-Rowe an 8 this year. He's been very good.
8.
He's been one of their best players. He's been very productive, and again, I've had to judge him playing for his team because he hasn't played for Arsenal, and he's been one of their best players. I think he's had a tremendous season, so I'm giving Emil an 8. Guys in the chat, we've got any grades coming through? Not yet. We've got Stephen saying Smith-Rowe may need to break into the side this season. Again, he probably will, because we've got no cover for Dani Ceballos. Even if he comes on a sub, he'll probably do well. Let's move to Bertram. Bertram, what are you going with as far as...
I hear all the raving about Smith-Rowe. Smith-Rowe reminds me of Joe Willock 2 years ago. Not impressed. Guys, I'm serious. I'm not. I know he reminds me of Nelson this season, where they look lost. I remember Nelson against Liverpool. They look lost on the field. Smith-Rowe to me looked lost on the field. All this raving about Smith-Rowe and Huddersfield, we're talking about the PL here. We're not talking about Division 1 or 2 guy. We're talking about PL. When he steps into the PL, I don't see Smith-Rowe being that difference maker. I wasn't the biggest Ramsey fan, so I can't use Ramsey as an analogy or a comparative. But look, he surprised me like Willock, because I didn't think Willock would make it, frankly. I saw him 2 years ago. Willock to me has made a big step up. I know people are disappointed with how his season has progressed, but I like Willock a lot. I see the potential there. I think Smith-Rowe will be a good player, but it's not the difference maker everyone is making him out to be. And Huddersfield, guys, let's say this again. Huddersfield. This is not Arsenal playing against Man U. This is not Arsenal playing against Liverpool. This is not Arsenal against Chelsea. It's a whole different ball game when you step up in the PL and you play against the best in the world. And look, my hope is that his game will translate to the PL, and he produced really well, and he replaced my favorite player in the world, Mr. Lazy. But as it stands today, I don't see Smith-Rowe being that difference maker to be. And I gave him an incomplete grade. There's a reason why he went on loan. And there's a reason why Saka didn't go on loan, or Nketiah was pulled back from loan, or Martinelli didn't go on loan. There's a reason why, because they're producing at this level, and he was not. So I can't give him a grade.
It's hard to say that, because he's got the least Premiership game experience than all of the youngsters. They've all played. Nelson, Nketiah, they've all pretty much played more Premiership football than he has. And he hasn't really...
But he went to Germany last season and he got injured. Yeah. Didn't really play a lot, just like Nelson did. But Nelson produced in his first 8 or 10 games, scored like 6 or 7 goals. Smith-Rowe went to Germany, got injured, didn't play a lot, came back, didn't do enough in pre-season or the first part of the season to be retained like a Saka did or Martinelli did or Nketiah did. So I cannot give him a grade. I think it's incomplete.
That's a fair enough answer. We've got 18 who's given him an 8, and we've got Kez. Kez is saying Emil Smith-Rowe blighted by injuries, but when he has played, he's done some good things, and I think there's more to come. And again, he's saying he would give him a 7. I think Bertram. What Bertram's saying that's important is that we have to see what he can do first, because we've seen what the other guys have been doing when they've been playing in the Premiership, and it's our hope that Emil Smith-Rowe would be able to translate that type of ability to show in the Premiership. That's all we can hope for. I've seen enough from him in various appearances at Arsenal to believe that he can do it. But again, it's unproven. I don't know whether he can, whether it's going to happen or whether it's not going to happen. But I've seen enough of him to know that the ability is there. Arsenal Vlogs, what's your feelings on that? Smith-Rowe,
Smith-Rowe, in my opinion, I'm going to give him a 6. I feel the problem with Smith-Rowe is I don't want to be biased to Smith-Rowe or anything like that. I feel like when he played in some games in the Europa League, that season where we got to the final and all that stuff, I feel like he had the potential to be Aaron Ramsey replacement. Then he had injuries, and then there was, I think he's a bit similar to Reece Nelson, and I've got to rate him a 6 because he done well at Huddersfield, don't get me wrong, and I haven't seen him much play, and I feel like he's obviously contributed at Huddersfield, and he's been a very, very good player. Don't get me wrong, I would keep him because he could be that midfield who could be an Aaron Ramsey potential, but I feel like he needs a couple of loan deals to see if he's proven enough to get into the Arsenal squad. So I'm going to give him a 6.
Okay, and before I go to I think, shall I go to Nathan or Tony next? I'll go to Tony next, since he's on the marker. But before I go to Tony, let's remember the Unai Emery's first season, where we was doing well in the Europa Cup. Emil Smith-Rowe played really well in those appearances in the Europa Cup before he went out on loan to Germany. So we have to remember that as well. But obviously, we're just talking about this season. Tony, you got the conch.
Okay, so I don't know why anybody's mentioning last season, because you can't look at a player based on the previous season and grade them based on this season.
I think you've got to come closer to your mic, Tony.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Come closer to your mic.
Sorry. So if you're going to grade him on just this season, in my opinion, he shouldn't even be getting a grading. He should not be getting a ranking, because it'd be like saying, should we be ranking who's only had 1 or 2 appearances? People in the Carabao Cup. Are we ranking everybody who's played in the Carabao Cup, like Tyrese John Jules?
No.
Right. So why are we ranking Emil Smith-Rowe? He has barely played for Arsenal.
No, because he's played for the club that he went out on loan in, and he's an Arsenal player
That's
next year.
That's not even a comparable league.
It isn't, but I'm just answering your question as to why we're grading him. We're not grading Mkhitaryan.
He shouldn't be graded. He should not be graded is the simple answer, in my opinion.
We're not grading Mkhitaryan because Mkhitaryan
if
said
he's
that he's
good
not
enough,
coming back.
I'm going to make this comparison, this thing you said about age, yeah? Saka is younger than Emil Smith-Rowe. Look at the difference, yeah? Cesc Fabregas was bossing Premier League midfields from 16. Emil Smith-Rowe is 19 years old. It's no spring chicken anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, if at 19 you haven't started to make an impact, yeah, then I can't be grading you on the basis of 3 or 4 games in a Carabao Cup and a handful of games in a championship. It's just not even. How is anybody grading him an 8?
Yeah, I'm grading
him
because I've watched their games every week. I watch their games.
No, but he's playing in a different league.
If
you come and watch me play Sunday League football, Apollo, you'll probably grade me an 8.
Well, how would you know that I would grade you an 8, Tony?
Because I'm a fantastic Sunday League player.
Yeah, listen, this is the championship. Yeah, I'm not disrespecting the championship at all, because anyone that would be making a mistake. There's some very good teams there, and when you get relegated, it's almost impossible to get back up because the competition is really
I'm not
good
underrating a championship. Listen, Guendouzi came from a 2nd division team in France. Gabriel Martinelli came from a 2nd division team in Brazil. I'm not underrating capability, but when you come into the team, you have to perform, and those two players have performed.
So you're not grading him then, no?
No.
All right, okay.
He's Ebony, not worthy. He's not played enough games.
Okay,
he's
Ebony,
not playing in a like-for-like system.
Okay, Tony. Ebony, let's move on to you. What's your thoughts on Emil Smith-Rowe's season, the season so far? Oh, hold on a second.
Okay. Right, the few games that he's played, I'm going to rate him a 5, because that's all I can do. I'm not going to bring in the what's it called, the lower league, the championship, because it's a completely different setup. Yes, he's still playing games, and yes, he's done well, but can he transfer that skill into the first team at Arsenal? But the games he has played for Arsenal, so up until he went to Huddersfield, I'd have to give him a 5, you know, and no more than that. And I do believe that, you know, when he gets back, I hope he does make the first team because he's got skill. And yes, you know, he's like a Jack Wilshere, but you know, injuries have actually played a big part in his career so far. So for now, purely based on the games that he's played for Arsenal, it is going to be a 5 and no more than that.
Yeah, and it's going to be important because Mikel Arteta has spoken about how much he can't wait to get him back into the team for next preseason, because obviously Arteta's watched a ton of film and he's saying how much he likes him and how much he makes those late runs into the box. And look, he's going to have the keys to try and take that Ceballos position. Otherwise, we're going to just bring somebody else in. Nathan, what's your views on Smith Rowe this season?
Yeah. This season, I mean, first, I'm going to be controversial again. I'd probably give him about. I'd rank him high, so I'll go with 7, not 8. But in the he's massively overachieved, in my opinion. We got you know, he's a young player. He's on loan, and he's not in an easy league, by the way. The Championship is incredibly competitive. Like if teams go down, then you know they're at a big risk of staying there. It's an incredibly competitive league, and for him to start in, like you say, you've been watching a lot of him. I've been watching a lot of him as well. For him to be pretty much a star player in every game that they've played is just. I don't think people realize just how kind of incredible that is for a player that young to be just going to a completely new league, completely new team, still very, very young. Yeah, but on the other hand, when he has played for Arsenal, for instance, last season, and when he got his chance against Everton, wow, yeah, very disappointing. Or was it this season? Did he play against Everton this season?
At
some point.
Which game? Which Everton game? A home or the away one?
Was it? No, away.
No, he didn't. No,
he didn't.
Was that last season? Yeah, but I remember he got his big chance and he started against Everton. It must have been last season.
It was last season.
Yeah, he was absolutely terrible, and I was like, oh my god, this guy is not ready. The thing is, you can compare him to the youngsters, and at the moment there's three Arsenal youngsters, maybe 4, who are real top talents in this, and you know. There's almost no debate that these are top players, and that's Guendouzi, Saka, and Martinelli. Probably Guendouzi as well, but I know a lot of people are questioning him, and maybe Eddie as well, if I've already mentioned him. But then the rest, and I really love Joe Willock, by the way. I
love Reece Nelson. I think Reece Nelson is amazing.
Joe Willock, Nelson, and Emile Smith Rowe. It's still very much up for debate. We really don't know what's going to happen with these guys, but. Comparing them to like Saka and Martinelli and Guendouzi, you just can't do that at that point because those are just outstanding players. And I think Eddie is just slightly above the tier of your Willocks, Nelsons, and Smith Rowes because he's, you know, every time he's got a chance, he's scoring, isn't he? Pretty much.
Agree. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Eddie. I agree.
But Emile Smith Rowe this season, like you've got to give him credit for what he's done in the Championship. It's really not easy at all. And to be a star player, as I say, in nearly every game, like, yeah, I thought he was going to go and flop, you know, because I know how competitive the Championship is. Yeah. And for him to not flop, but actually like be a star player, yeah, I'm really impressed.
Excellent. So, guys, we're going to move on now to, this is going to be, boy, if you thought that was controversial, wait till the next one. Alexander Lacazette, who was actually voted Arsenal Player of the Year by the fans last season. And look where he is now. I can't wait to get stuck in.
It should be interesting.
Be nuts. Bertram, you got the conch. Come on, mate.
So what's the question?
About Alexander Lacazette. This season marks out of 10.
Sorry.
And guys in the chat room, can I get your grades as well? A 5. Go on, Bertram.
Look, I think Lacazette has had a very, very tough season. We expected him to be a talisman and be putting the ball in the net because he's forced Abba to go play out wide. He doesn't have the capability to play out wide. And yet he's not scoring. He's not creating assists. Look, he's a good player, right? He's a good holder player. He can see a pass, but he's just not been producing. And I hear us talking about him going to Atletico Madrid for some other player. And I'm saying, let's do the deal yesterday. Let's not dilly-dally. Let's not procrastinate. Let's do the deal because I think Lacazette time has been served. He's been with us for like 3 seasons. Yeah. And there's a reason now why you can see why he doesn't get ahead of Giroud in the France team. I mean, obviously, Giroud plays to their style. Giroud is the best hold-up forward in world football, bar none, period. And you can see why that works well for France and their team and why Lacazette, because if you're not going to score, you're Lacazette, then you're useless on the field. You don't have the speed to go behind defense. You can't beat your man. Then why do I need you playing and making $150K a week? So, I don't want to be hard on Lacazette because I think he's a good player, but I can't give him more than a 5 because if he was scoring half the rate of Aubameyang, we'd be in the top 4. He's not scoring, and he's missing easy chances also. It's not as if he's not getting chances. He's missing easy chances. So, look, I think he's a good player, but I can't give him more than a 5, and I think his time has run out.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know what makes me laugh, right? He's 27 years old. Now, we know that a player, when you're 27, 28, 29, that's when you're in your prime. So he was scoring over 30 goals a season every year in France. And then he comes to Arsenal, he gets 18 goals, 10 assists, and I don't know what's going on. Listen, so you're giving him a 5, 18's giving him a 4. Stephen has given him a 5. Stephen's saying, I think Laka has attitude towards Emery, which has affected his performance in the team. This continued after Emery got rid. Yeah, and you know, Emery did that Wenger shit, man. He just took him off after 70 minutes every game. That really was that was a piss take.
Guys, let me say one thing about managers.
Yeah.
Managers players are going to help them to win. Yeah. Now, I know Emery wasn't successful with us, but it's not like Emery hated. We act like Emery hated Lacazette, hated lazy Ozil. He didn't dislike the players. They just weren't producing as he would like. If they were scoring goals and creating assists, he would play them. I don't think Emery has anything against Laka or Ozil. They just weren't producing.
And, you know, I think that's part of the reason why Emery is spitting blood and hasn't stopped spitting blood since he left Arsenal. All we hear from this guy is moaning about it wasn't me, it was them. They were lazy, they were this, they were that. And the man cannot keep his mouth shut. And it's because he felt hurt and burnt. I want him to get that job at AC Milan. I really do. I know he's been talking to Ivan Gazidis, but I want him to get that job next season because I want to see whether his ability to coach and his skill set would translate over to success because he clearly lost it all at Arsenal. The message was lost in translation and it all went tits up. And look, man,
you better learn Italian.
He better learn. That's what I'm saying. He didn't learn English very well. He better learn Italian. Kez has given him a 5. Arsenal Vlogs. Talk to me about Lacazette.
Well, this is a really, really good, interesting what I'm going to rate. I think Lacazette overall this season, player of the season last season, you're thinking, you know what, he's going to have a good season. And I think Lacazette, the thing with Lacazette this season, his attitude's been absolutely poor. And what that guy said in the chat, I agree with him. I think his attitude towards when Emery was there, things haven't worked out. And I feel Lacazette this season's been absolutely poor, in my opinion. He could be easily replaced. And I feel like his attitude towards Emery has been rubbish, in my opinion. So he could be replaced. He can replace. And I feel like if we get rid of him, we can have Martinelli. We've got Eddie Nketiah who can come through. If Aubameyang stays, that'd be good. But the positive thing with Lacazette is he's good up at his hold-up play. And I think if Aubameyang goes, you can keep Lacazette. And then you can have him obviously coming off the bench. So rating-wise, 5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. And we've seen 2 things happen here to hit home your points. The first one is he's lost his position in the team. What does that tell you? It tells you he ain't getting it done in practice when Arteta's around, which made Arteta make that choice. 2, he's been coming on as a substitute for Eddie Nketiah, and he's been productive. So this is the kick in the backside that he needed to ensure that he was going to pick up the pace, because he's just not working hard enough, and he's definitely not defending like Nketiah is. But I'll come on to that when I make my points about it as well. We've got Stephen is saying, I think Lacazette has an attitude problem towards Emery. Yeah, I think I've read that one out. Kez has given a 5. Jase is saying, Laka attitude problem with Emery. Don't think you can say that. He was the same person who was back in Emery when people were against him using a 22-bit. Yeah, and again, he was one of our hottest players then. Where does it all go wrong? And 18 is just agreeing with Arsenal Vlogs. Tony, talk to me about Alexander Lacazette. Tony
looks frozen.
Yeah,
he looks like.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Guys?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tony. Go ahead.
Okay. Hopefully I won't get frozen. Great. Okay. So, basically, player of the season last year. What a race. You know, I can see the guy puts in a lot of effort still. I mean, he's not like Bertram's favorite player, where he doesn't. I mean, you know what? The funny thing is, I was going to say this earlier about Bertram's favorite player. He shows a lot of kilometers put in across the
Cutting out quite a bit, Tony.
He is cutting out.
Pitch. But you know what? A major running. But he was really sharp, important. This is, I think, advice. I might go on to my other one, but hopefully you can hear me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. It might be my device. I'm going to change after this one. So what I was going to say was Bertram's favorite player does a lot of kilometers on the pitch, but the type of kilometers he does is a lot of like just jogging around from position to position. Yeah. Whereas you look at certain other players like Martinelli, for instance, he may not cover as much kilometers, but you can guarantee he does more effort in terms of sprints. And ultimately, that's what this game is about. Yeah. As a Sunday League football player myself, I know, you know what? I need to get my energies back. I don't run. I don't move anywhere. I stay in spot. I conserve my energy. Yeah. And Lacazette does a lot of those little sprints. Yeah. Which don't look so impressive. Yeah. In terms of kilometers, but he's still putting in an effort. Whereas Mr. Bertram's favorite player does a lot of just running around, left down, passing a simple, and he clocks up tons, but ultimately it doesn't really produce a great deal. Lacazette, for me, just on effort, I'm going to give him a 5.
Okay.
On finishing and influence overall, I'd probably go with a 3. So I'm going to half that and go with overall for the season. I'm giving him a 4.
Okay, that's a fair shout. That's a fair shout. Ebony, I thought we lost you there for a second. Can you hear us? And remember, guys, Ebony's at work at the moment, so she's fighting with her work internet connection. And I don't know about you guys, but anytime I've seen a work internet connection, it's never been good. So I think we've lost her for a second. So we're going to go straight to Nathan. Nathan, what's your marks out of 10 for Alexander Lacazette?
A generous 4. This guy, yeah, it's Arsenal Vlogs knows what I think of Lacazette.
Yes,
he is brilliant. He is world class at making Arsenal fans think that he's a workhorse. Honestly, just watch him. He's brilliant at making it look like he's going to get to the defender, but he never does because he's simply too small, too weak, and not quick enough. We all know that he can finish. We all know that he can strike a ball well, but ultimately he's Defoe with less explosiveness, and he's been exposed this season massively. Lacazette. It's not an attitude thing, by the way. He's not really been different with any kind of managers. And to be fair to him, all the managers that he's played under, apart from Wenger, have been very kind of favourable with him. They've all liked him. Emery showed a lot of faith in him, and Wenger was the one who was taking him off at 70 minutes every game and frustrating the hell out of him. And Arteta clearly rates him for some reason. But yeah, Lacazette, we need to get rid of him. He's probably, along with Ozil, I'd say that him and Ozil are probably the players that we need to get rid of the most. There's a million better players out there than Lacazette right now, and there's a million younger, probably cheaper players as well. I truly don't understand how he's played as much minutes as he has this season, when Eddie Nketiah has looked like he's going to score nearly every game that he plays, as well as Martinez. Don't get me started on that. Yes. Honestly, Lacazette, he's made me blood red mad. He at times I've been screaming at the TV like, this guy's a disgrace. I could not rate Lacazette any less than I do, I don't think. And every time that Eddie Nketiah has started over in the Premier League, I've been like that to the heavens. I think that Eddie Nketiah offers so much more already, and I don't even think that Eddie Nketiah will necessarily make it at Arsenal, but he offers so much more, has offered so much more this season than Lacazette ever could. Explosiveness, and the difference between these two players when they're pressing the defence, one of them actually looks like he could nick the ball off the defenders. Lacazette just does that kind of 3/4 sprint to try and make himself look busy, but he's never ever getting to the defender to actually take the ball off them.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's just been massively exposed.
We should not talk about defending from an Offer Business Forum, because if anyone says Ozil is their favorite player and talk about defending as a criteria for my forward players, I'm going to get perturbed, because then you're not being fair. When it comes to defending up front, leave that alone. Let's talk about their offensive capabilities. Because Ozil, Eddie said this. Ozil runs around a lot and runs how many kilometers a game? How many sprints is in that 20, 15, 10, 9 kilometers? 0.
Yeah. I think you probably think. When I said that that Ozil's worked hard, I don't think he's good. I don't. The only problem.
I apologize then. Okay.
Yeah. The only problem we've had is we haven't got anyone who can make the ball stick in the final third like Ozil. So we've had to play him. There's no one who has that kind of creativity.
Yes, we do. We have Pepe. We have Pepe.
Not as a 10. Pepe can't play 10.
Yes.
He's
Pepe
a runner.
can play 10.
He can play.
No. Pepe played a lot through the middle when he played for Lille. He carries the ball a lot through the middle. He puts pressure on defense. I would love to see Pepe in the 10.
Like Ozil can.
Ozil doesn't play. Oh, that's okay. Take control, Apollo. Ozil doesn't play.
That's all right. Bertrand,
what are you saying?
We need to come back to you, Bertrand. We'll come back to you. Nathan, finish your point.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I'm just talking. Yeah. If you want to talk about anything that Lacazette offers, for a start, he can't get in behind the defense, which is a massive issue. You can't play it down the sides because Lacazette can't get in behind. If we want to, honestly, I could talk all day about what Lacazette doesn't offer, but just what really frustrates me is the fact that we see him kind of doing, as I said, those little kind of. I'm gonna try and look as if I'm going to take it off the defenders. Never does. But if you want to talk about offensively, unless we're playing champagne stuff at home and everything is going right in the team, Lacazette gets massively exposed. He can look like a brilliant player when we're playing at home and everything is ticking and the ball's going to his feet every time. And again, another thing, his hold up play is massively overrated. By the way, he's not very good at holding it up at all. If you actually watch him closely, he loses the ball a hell of a lot and it bounces off him. He's not the kind of hold up target man that people think. He's just small, slow, and because he hasn't got that kind of pace in behind, people try and label him as a Firmino or a target man role, but he's not that either. He's really limited.
Okay, and remember, Bertram, it's all about opinions. It's all subjective. You know, we've all got different thoughts and opinions, and that's what we want to hear here. We want to hear what everybody has got to say about these players. And in my opinion on Alexander Lacazette, I'm trying to get Ebony in because Ebony hasn't had her say, and she's floating in and out. Ebony, are you with us?
She seems frozen again.
Yeah, she's struggling with her connection. So I'm going to go with Lacazette at the moment. Lacazette for me this season, remember guys, he aggravated that injury on September the 1st, I think it was, against Tottenham. And he's never been was he out for 2 or 3 months? He's never been the same player since. He's looked less sharp. He just doesn't have that sharpness on the ball. He's slower on the counter attack. Anytime I see us running forward, he's supposed to be there in the 6-yard box as an option, and he never is. He's never running in on them late balls. How many times have we seen Saka and Pepe cross the ball from the left and the right, and Lacazette is behind the play? He just doesn't have that burst to get into the ball anymore. Yeah. And he also doesn't defend the way that Nketiah does. He doesn't hunt the ball and hound the ball down in the way that Arteta wants him to. That's why he was dropped. He was dropped for a reason. And the biggest thing that for me that frustrates me is, okay, Arteta, you made your choice and you dropped him and he didn't start for the last 2 Premiership games. Well done. Congratulations. But then when you was against Olympiacos at the Emirates at home in a game you had to win in the Europa Cup, what did you do? You played Lacazette for 82 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, can I interrupt a minute? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. I totally forgot about that. I'd go out on a limb and I'd say that he cost us that early exit of the Europa. Him playing in both. Did he play in both Europas?
He did. He did.
Yeah, him playing in both of those, he fully cost us. I have no doubt in my mind that Eddie would have made much more of an impact and probably would have scored much more goals than Lacazette did.
Yeah,
Europa.
And I get that Arteta's options were limited. I mean, at that game, we all felt sorry for Saka because I think me and Bertram was talking about it and Tony, and we were saying Saka had played something like 7 games in the last 20 days, and the boy's legs were knackered. He needed a rest. You couldn't rest him in that game against Olympiacos because he had no options. But you had an option for Lacazette, and what frustrated me was when Lacazette came off against Olympiacos with 8 in the 83rd minute. Martinelli did more in 5 minutes than Lacazette did in the whole game.
And that's what he did. That's what he did. And the thing is, Martinelli compared to Lacazette doesn't work hard enough. Lacazette reminds me a bit like Giroud, in my opinion, but Lacazette doesn't obviously header. He's
got the better Arsenal career, by the way.
But no, but obviously the thing with Lacazette and Giroud was obviously good at his hold-up play, and that's the same with Lacazette. Whereas Martinelli, he's more ruthless. He's obviously works very, very hard. He tracks back. Whereas Lacazette, to me, I think Lacazette's a bit lazy in my opinion. I just feel like he's lazy. Martinelli for me, and that's why I feel like we can get rid of Lacazette. In my opinion, we'll have plenty of options.
I think just to finish off there, I think I mentioned his ankle injury on the 1st of September against Tottenham. Knowing what we know about Rob Holding, knowing what we know about Bellerin's groin problem, I don't think that Lacazette is 100% fit at the moment, and I think that's probably been the reason why he's just not looked the same player. It would be really interesting, by the way, to see how these guys come back after the COVID-19 rest, because all of them would have been well healed up. Any injuries would have subsided. It's a shame for Tottenham because Song and Harry Kane were injured, and now they're going to come back and finish the season. Boo!
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's a shame about that. But our players as well, like Lacazette, it would be interesting to see how they come back, because I actually don't think that Lacazette was fully fit. And look, whatever happens, who he starts in that position, whether it be Nketiah or Lacazette, will go a long way into showing how Arteta's going to get through this. But for me, he just hasn't been lucky in front of goal. He's even been goal shy. He knows like his luck has left him, because he's not even making those shots from. Remember, he used to make those crazy shots from angles that used to go in the top right corner of the net, and he just doesn't do that anymore. Lacazette is gun shy. He's not pulling the trigger.
Do you reckon it's because of confidence? Do you reckon
Yes.
Do you reckon because he's kind of lost it a little bit, and this is why, if he doesn't start obviously producing onto his standards, and you got to get rid of him and that. Like, I remember when Lacazette scored that really good goal at home against Everton last season. And Lacazette was a very, very important player. I remember he scored a couple of goals against Bournemouth in that 5-1 win. So he could be easily replaced.
I totally agree. Kez is saying, I don't think an informed Lacazette gets benched by Eddie. Yes, that is what I'm trying to say. Kez, love you like cooked food. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. This isn't the Lacazette that was player of the season. It just isn't him. And if this is the Lacazette that we're going to get, then get rid of him. But if he comes back from this COVID-19 and this long break, and then we see the player that we've had before, who's 27 years old, then let's see what he can do in training. Let's give him the opportunity to prove to the manager that he can be the player that we all think he is. Because right now, for me, he's a 4, and I'm being generous when I'm giving him a 4 out of 10.
The trouble is, he's never been good away though. For example, even when he was the star man, even when he was the player of the year or whatever, player of the season, his away form has always been absolutely dreadful, and that's always been like an early warning sign that this player isn't perhaps as good as we'd like to think he was. I mean,
you can say that for the whole team. You can say that for the whole team. But the whole team are terrible away from home.
Yeah, I can't agree with that, Tony, because our away form has improved drastically. There's 2 things Arteta has changed that Wenger and Emery struggled with, and that's away form and obviously that's our defensive record. He's improved both of those considerably. But in the case of Lacazette, when just the game before Arteta took over, when we went up to Everton, Goodison Park, and Duncan Ferguson and Eddie Lundberg was in charge.
Yeah.
Ozil put 2 balls on a plate for Lacazette and a 6-yard line, and he bumbled the chances. Both, it was just unbelievable to see what Lacazette did, and it's no surprise he's been dropped. So I'm going to stay with a 4, and I'm being really generous. Ebony, can you hear me? Because we wanted to come to you on Lacazette. Okay, let me. Hold on, right here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 3. I think he's been poor this season. Yes. Yeah, he's been poor. Injury or no injury, he gets a 3. He hasn't been the Lacazette that we first signed. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if it's an attitude problem. I don't know if he's had words with other players in a training session. I don't know, but he just reminds me of he's not the best tackler. He doesn't fight for the ball. And he's a fox in the box. That's basically what he is. But even then, he's fluffed his line so many times. 3, sorry.
Okay, good. So let's move on now to the club's captain, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We're going to start with you, Bertram. And what would your opinion be on Aubameyang this season, who's been banging the goals in left, right, and centre? I believe at the time of writing, he's tied top scorer in the Premiership now. I'm not sure whether Aguero was past him. I'll have to double check that, by the way. But let's get your opinion and your grades out of 10. Guys in the chat, let me know what you think about Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. What would you grade him so far this season? Bertram, you got the conch.
Look, I think Aubameyang has a lot of deficiencies in his game, but he puts the ball in the net, so it really doesn't matter. He's not a good hold-up player. He can't beat a man to save his life, but he scores goals. And that's the most difficult thing in football to do, is to put the ball in the net. If you're going to put the ball in the net for me, I can live with all your deficiencies. So I'll give him a 9 for the season. And frankly, if you took away his goals, we might as well be fighting for relegation, frankly, because we would not be in, well, we're about 9th position and looking like we want to go top 6. Look, I think he's tried to be a captain this year. I don't think it's innate to his being to be captain, by the way. I think it's been thrust upon him because they want to keep him. They're trying to laud him and make him feel good about the role and feel like, he's the club and the main person of the club. Yeah, well, it doesn't work out really well, does it? Between the Koscielny's of the world or the Vermaelens of the world, it never really works out well. But at the end of the day, I think, look, he's produced, right? He came in, he's been scoring from day one.
Day one. So
like I said, it's been here a year before him. He comes in, he did it at Dortmund, he's scoring goals for fun in a lesser league. And we talk about Smith Rowe in the championship. Aubameyang comes in the Premier League and it hasn't made a difference. He's been hitting the ball in the net continuously. So I can't give him a 10 because my forwards need to be complete.
Yeah. Between
headers, get by your man, being able to make a pass. Because Aubameyang cannot pass, by the way, guys. He's the worst passer in the PL as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
He's an atrocious passer, but he scores goals. So I give him a 9.
So we've got Jose was for the moment. He was going to so he didn't say anything, but Jose's given him a 9 as well, and 18's given him a 10. Wow, hold on a second. 18. How much did you give Saka? Because most of us gave Saka a 9 and a 10. So I need to check that, because what you're saying there is that Aubameyang should be player of the year at the moment. So you need to check back with me on that. Kez is saying 8.5, would like for him to have more of a complete game outside of scoring and his average. I think that's the reason why he maintains the 9s, Kez, because while he's not been the greatest passer and while he hasn't provided as much assist as any of the top 10 strikers, we've seen a defensive part to his game. We've seen him backtrack and work hard. He sets by example the intensity that this team takes with the commitment from the manager. When Aubameyang walks off the field at full time, I see that brother there sweating like a dog. Yeah, because he's put the work in. So listen, I go with that. We've got Ibrahim. Ibrahim, welcome to the chat, mate. Ibrahim saying, bro, I can't have the man making fun of them like you got to get me on. Oh my God. So listen, let's go with Arsenal Vlogs. Arsenal Vlogs, what would you give Aubameyang marks out of 10 this season?
Aubameyang, for me, I would give him a 9 out of 10. The only problem I have with Aubameyang is I think with Aubameyang, he relies on pace a little bit. That's my only issue. And I think he lacks, like, what I don't get is obviously we keep playing him on the wing, and he's not a winger. He's a false number 9. He's a centre forward. He's a guy who obviously wants the fullbacks to cross the ball, and Aubameyang is a feeder. He's a feeder. So for me, I think the problem with Aubameyang is he can't do all these fancy trick stuff. He's not what people think he is. So don't get me wrong. I think Aubameyang's world class. I think he's probably the best striker in the league. And for me, without Aubameyang this season, where would we be? We would probably be mid-table. We'd probably be where Norwich and Aston Villa will be. And it's a shame. I think he's going to go, in my opinion. And I think Aubameyang's going to go. I don't want him to go, but I think it's getting to a point where we have to get rid of him. We're going to have to use the money on something else. But rating-wise, I'll give him a 9 out of 10. I think he's been fantastic this season. I just feel like he just lacks, obviously, he's on.
Sorry, I got that under control. Go on.
He's obviously lacking, and obviously he lacks. Obviously, he relies on pace, so that's why I'm giving him a 9 out of 10.
Okay, and just to pick up a point here, I'm going to defend the kid. Yo, the kid, good to see you. And listen, I know you're on your way home, but I could have got you on the show. I'll hit you up next time. But I'm going to defend the kid here because the kid is saying, and let's put him up saying, look, the kid's like, send me a Twitter, bro. I'm coming on. I need to defend how the guy is about saying Aubameyang is the worst passer in the league. Look, I'm going to defend that a little. I do agree that he's not the greatest passer, but I also agree that he's not the worst passer, because what you guys
Who
have
is the
to remember
worst?
is,
Who is worse?
Granit
Guys,
Xhaka.
no, I'm actually serious about. I'm serious about this. I'm serious about this.
I think the worst passer on
Game-
Arsenal's. I think the worst passer on the team is Granit Xhaka. I've never seen a guy give the ball away to the other team so much.
There's
not
no
Granit Xhaka.
comparison between Aubameyang and
It's not
Xhaka.
Granit Xhaka.
Xhaka is
Xhaka-
making 30-yard pass to the
Xhaka is
wing.
one of the
There's
best
no comparison.
passers in the team for absolute
Yes.
certain, if not the best.
So,
Yes.
so what's that,
yes,
Nathan?
Agreed.
like, Arsenal's by far, Xhaka's by far one of the best passers in Arsenal, if not the best. And by the way, I'm someone who's been adamant that we must sell Xhaka, so I've got no bias towards him. But there's one thing you can't criticise Xhaka of, and that's his passing. Yes, he's been wasteful and gets a bit complacent sometimes in possession, but his distribution is what keeps him in the team. So saying his passing's not good is that's crazy, because Xhaka's weaknesses are far from his passing. But Aubameyang, sorry, someone else go.
Yeah, and again, remember, all views are subjective, guys. Let's not get upset when somebody gives their opinion. That's Nathan's opinion, and he's 100% completely entitled to it.
Apollo, please do this to me. Please do this to me. Next game you watch, guys, I'm amazed and flabbergasted. We're saying Aubameyang is a half decent passer. He's atrocious. In fact, to the point where I scream every time he gets the ball, "Don't pass it, Aubameyang. Leave it for somebody else to just take it off you. Don't pass it, please."
All right, listen. The reason why I'm saying, look, I don't rate him as a passer. Yeah, Bertram, you know me and my views. But the thing is, I have to agree with what the kid is saying. He always puts players in dangerous position, and I'm going to remember this. Yeah,
the opposition.
Hold on a second, Bertram. He plays the overlap with Saka on the left as good as anybody I've seen on the league. So, okay, they don't translate into assists, but he's passing with Saka is brilliant. He spots Saka's runs going through the two centre backs, left, right back, and centre back, and he gets that overlap perfect every single time. And it's because of Aubameyang why Saka's had so much success. So I do get that with the kid. The kid, you can't say I didn't defend you there, but at the same time, creatively getting balls into the box for oncoming scorers, he just doesn't have that in his game. He just doesn't have that in his locker. So for me, he's an average passer. Who are we going to go with? Whose goal is it? It's Ebony Aubameyang. Talk to me.
Right. I'm going to give him.
Oh, we haven't lost her again, have we?
Oh no, that's not good.
Listen, she's normally at home anyway, so this is the first time it's happened at work. So listen, we'll move on to Tony. Tony, I saw you holding your head there when Nathan was talking about Xhaka's passing. But what's your opinion? Actually, what's your opinion on that? And give us your marks out of 10 for Aubameyang.
Okay, so you guys have given a lot of stuff that really doesn't wash with me, I'm afraid. I'm going to start with you, Apollo, because we sat down our last game together and watched Aubameyang's defensive. And we both, we cussed him out. Do you remember?
On that game, yeah.
On that game.
Yes, we did, yeah.
So I'm going to say this. Some games good, some games bad. When he's bad, it's awful.
It's awful. I gave him a 3 out of 10 for that game. You can check the player ratings on 101 forum.
I just want you to get the balance right.
Yeah,
he's not that good all the time defensively. When he's good though.
Yeah.
Nathan, need to come to your point, my brother. For a guy who is so good that his place is guaranteed in the team because of his great passing, my guy's had 1 assist all season. Remember, this guy was the captain of the team. All season, big chances created. I'm looking here at the Premier League statistics. Yeah?
He's a DM, bro.
His cross accuracy is 23%. Yeah, if you don't believe me, go on the Premier League's home site and you will find Granit Xhaka. Cross accuracy, 23%. In the whole season he played, through balls, 4.
Yeah,
so
Tony,
for a guy who's so good at passing, I'm sorry, but
Tony,
Saka makes him look like
Yeah,
the
Tony,
worst player
I just
in the
want to say
team.
one. I just want to say one thing because Nathan's new to this. Nathan, I'm gonna inbox you. I don't have your Twitter, by the way, but I'm gonna try and inbox you. I did a video about Saka, about Xhaka and his passing in comparison to all the other Arsenal players, and what it showed is he wasn't only one of the worst passers on the Arsenal team, but he was one of the worst passers in the Premiership at his position, holding midfielders. It just the productivity hasn't been there statistically from Xhaka, and that's the reason why Tony's saying what he's saying, because me and Tony looked this up together. But I made a whole video about it, but I will forward that on to you after we finish the stream. But
Yes,
the
I
thing
want to
is,
see that.
Nathan, based
but
on your, let me
sorry,
go on. So just to finish off my statistics, because I am a statistics guy, I'm also an eyeball guy. Yeah. So I base some of my opinions on eyeball test. Yeah. Long balls. He's passed 114 long balls. Yeah. But if of a guy who's played 1,486 passes, yeah, to have delivered 114, less than 10% of his passes are little short passes, 5-10 yards. And guess what? That's not a problem. And I'm not saying listen, under Arteta, I've been giving this guy lots of rave reviews. He's doing a good job, especially when he fills in around about when Saka goes up the pitch. Yeah. So I'm going against what you said. Now, Lacazette, Aubameyang, let's cut to the chase. He's second in the league behind Jamie Vardy for goals.
Oh,
if we're talking about just goals, he gets a 10. He gets a 9.5 to a 10 just for goals. If we're talking about production on the field, making opportunities, assists, anything else, he's a 5 at best. So what I'm going to do is do what I did previously with Lacazette. I'm going to go right bang in the middle, 7.5.
Okay, that's a fair shout. Ebony, have I done you with Lacazette yet? Sorry, Aubameyang. Have I done you with Aubameyang?
Aubameyang.
Ebony, have I done you with Aubameyang yet?
She's still frozen.
Yeah, she's really struggling. She's really struggling with that. Okay, so let me go first. I've done you already, Nathan, haven't I? With Aubameyang.
I think so. Not Aubameyang.
Oh, Aubameyang, go ahead then, mate. What's your views on
I'm going to give him.
No, if Ebony,
I'll come to you. I'll come to you afterwards, Ebony, when I finish with Nathan.
Yeah, so Aubameyang, I've pretty much got a second what a bunch of people are saying. His game is unfortunately not. It's not kind of. It's not. What's the word? What am I looking for? His overall gameplay is his all round play is not far from great, but it'll go missing for large parts of the game. But he just comes through the goals, doesn't he? And that's what matters. So I'd give him an 8. His goal scoring is just amazing. And you know, I think someone said in the comments he's better on the left. Statistically, he is, but I just feel like it's such a waste of the left hand side. Like I'd rather just play him down the middle, and I still think he can. You know, he's a goal scorer, so I'm sure he'll get the goals down the middle just like he would on the left. Even though statistically he has been better on the left, I just think we'll be far better off for large parts of the game if we've got a proper winger on the left or a proper left forward like Saka, like Martinelli, or if we were to bring someone else in. So yeah, I'd give him an 8 overall.
Nathan, and I've talked about this many times, you've probably seen on my previous videos. I think that the nucleus of the setup just hasn't been there, and Arteta is making the best out of a bad situation.
Yeah.
What's happening now is that Kieran Tierney issue has affected a strain throughout the whole team. Once he comes back on the left, you can put Martinelli in his natural position, you can put Saka in his natural position, and then you can put Aubameyang in his natural position, which is at the 9 at
I
the
hope
point
so.
of anchor. And that kind of stops all of the inconsistencies that the team is having right now. People forget this
Yes.
8-game unbeaten streak, these 5 clean sheets, all of this has come off the back of us dealing with square pegs and round holes. It's just,
Correct.
he's only been here 2 months, Arteta, or we should say 3 now because of this virus. But he's had to really juggle these plates. Bertram, you were going to say something?
Yeah, what shocks me is, I wasn't here in last week's discussion, is we keep talking about Tierney as if he has a left back position sewn up and he's played wonderful when he's played. He hasn't done anything. I hate to say this, but yes, he has speed. He can cross the ball. What did Tierney do when he played? Tierney was no more than a 5 when he played, when he was fit.
We all graded him at 4 and 5 last week, didn't we?
Yeah, I wasn't part of the last week's discussion, but I think we keep saying Tierney as if Tierney has sewn up the left back position and he's the next left back for the next 15 years. He came with a big reputation from Celtic. He has done nothing. Now, he's been injury prone most of the season, but his play to date has not substantiated why we think he's going to be that left back for the future. I haven't seen it.
Well,
and I hate to be harsh, but I haven't seen it.
Well, an agent last week told me, and I'm not going to name his name, he knows who he is because he watches this show, but an agent last week told me that he would not be surprised if Arsenal, as in Mikel Arteta, sold him back to Celtic for 2 reasons. 1, because that's where the player's heart and soul is, and 2, because he already has an answer at that position. So make of that what you will. But and I'm not saying it's going to happen. The agent just said to me he would not be surprised if it happens because he's heard rumblings about it. Ebony, I'm going to come to you on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's marks out of 10.
She's still frozen.
Ebony is really struggling today. Are you with us, no. Oh, my babe, man. My babe is struggling today. All right, okay, no problem. I'm going to go then. I'm going to go on Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He's probably the most important player on the pitch because the captain has to set the tone from the start of the whistle to the ending. And Tony alluded to that point where he's had some awful games where he's just not been able to be at that level. Hold on, Tony's just disappeared. I'll bring Tony back. And there's some games that Aubameyang hasn't been able to show that all-round game. And there's some games that he has. So from that point, there's some consistency there, but not enough for me to say he's a complete captain. I can't call him a complete captain. I don't think anybody can. But he's responsible, guys, for 42.5% of Arsenal's Premiership goals this season. Let's hit that off. He is responsible for 42.5%. He's responsible for 17 out of Arsenal's 40 goals in the league. He truly has the team. What's more impressive about him is that the goals has been coming from playing on the left. I think Arsenal Vlogs alluded to this as well.
Yes,
and Nathan. Yeah, and we're talking about him being a striker and the best in the league and the number 9. He ain't even playing in that position. And he's doing that from the left. This is why I'm talking about Kieran Tierney, because I think you put everybody in a natural position, you move Saka back up the field into that left wing, and then you get him and Pepe to ping balls into the middle. Saka's got 11 assists this season. Pepe's got 8. That's 19 assists without having Aubameyang in the middle. So what's going to happen when you put him at the point? I think he's been doing...
So Apollo, go back to this point. Xhaka has how many assists?
Saka's got 11 assists this season, yeah.
And Pepe has 8. What does our number 10 have? How many does our number 10 have? You keep talking about how much goals are missed. How much assists does our number 10 have?
I haven't looked because those are the 2. I think he's got 3. Which number 10 are you talking about?
Like 1, isn't it? He's only got 1 assist.
Our main number 10 is Ozil. That's the point I'm trying to make to guys, which is we are losing a ton of goals from that position in terms of assists and actual goals.
Yeah, we need to replace him.
Sorry, I can't agree because he's created the most chances since Arteta's been there, and I can go.
So why are we getting goals from Saka and from Pepe in terms of assists? We're not getting goals from him because those assists are overrated. They're overrated.
hold on, and I can go through many instances which I have done previously to talk about the amount of misses that we have had under the likes of Lacazette, etc. I know Ozil put 2 on the plate for Nketiah, and he hit the bar in 2 of his starts. He hit the bar in the first game, and he hit the post in the second game. And look, these are fine lines that we can go with. You can only do your job and what you're asked, and these are the things that Arteta is looking at. He's not looking at what you're saying about just the pure numbers. He's looking at how much chances are created, passing accuracy, how much people are running. He's looking at sprints, which is what you talked about. He's looking at all those things. Arteta is meticulous. He's playing Ozil for a reason. But as I said, I mean, this grade is about Aubameyang. And my point is that Aubameyang is, he's beginning to backtrap in the opposition. He's beginning to supply an overlap with Saka in an amazing way that it's just working for him. He plays around the youngsters like they're veterans. He's giving everybody. I think he's uplifting some people on the pitch, not wholly in the way Tony Adams or Patrick Vieira did, but I think he's doing a bang-up job at the moment as a captain. Do I think he should be the captain moving forward? No, I don't.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, but I think he's doing a bang-up job considering the task at hand. And I think Arsenal should do everything possible to extend his contract. But I think I'm going to have to go with a 9 out of 10 for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That's my grade for him at the moment. So, guys, we've got one more to do. I don't know where Ebony is at the moment. She's really struggling. So we're going to move on to... hold on, let's see if we can get her in here. Ebony, are you with us? Ebony, you with us?
Guys, I'm gonna have to bow out, but I've enjoyed this. I've got to go.
No problem, because I know you were on limited time. But before you go, Nathan, can you give me your grade for Nicolas Pepe?
Good one. Seven, a generous 7.
Okay,
and I know because I know there's a lot of question marks on him, but I think in the glimpses of kind of quality and class that he's shown, I think he's shown me enough to believe in him that he will only get better.
And also, I want to say, Nathan, second most chances created on the team behind Ozil.
Exactly.
Leads the team in dribbles by double. Yeah,
exactly.
3.8 dribbles per game. Next person underneath him is 1.9, which is Maitland-Niles. He has 5 goals and 8 assists, and the season isn't even finished yet.
Exactly.
And let's remember, those statistics are comparable to Iwobi, Ramsey, Mkhitaryan in previous years, and the season hasn't even finished yet.
Exactly. And that's why I think the criticism of him is just crazy, because like I think that people I don't understand how people can just like rule him out as a flop and stuff, because I think he's far from a flop. I think he's showing signs of being a true leader, a true technical leader. He's not a leader in terms of voice, but he's one of those people that through his performance can lead the team, I think.
Okay, Nathan, thanks for having you on the show. And let me go to ban at the moment. How can we find you on Twitter? What's your
It's
handle?
just MB Lows.
Okay, and could you go to Twitter, Apollyon24, and friend me? And that way
I will do.
Yeah, and I'll send you that video I done on Xhaka.
Yeah,
as
please
well.
do. Because honestly, like if I was bigging Xhaka up with his passes. Honestly, you don't know how much of a Xhaka hater I am. I've honestly, I hate this guy. I've wanted to sell him for season after season, but I just had to be kind of what I thought in terms of passing and stuff. I thought he must be bringing something to the team in terms of for every manager to continue backing him, because he doesn't dribble, he can't carry the ball, he's poor dynamically, his passing's very kind of limited. He doesn't create, he just kind of distributes. I thought there must be something in there that's keeping him in the team.
Yeah, and listen, I've also got a video to send you that I did on Mesut Ozil as well. So I want you to watch that video, and when you can, just drop me some feedback underneath the video so that I can see, and
for sure.
that'll be a nice little talking point between us. Good luck, man, and I'll speak to you later on. And thanks for joining the panel today.
Take care, guys.
Brilliant.
See you later.
Take care, Nathan.
Take it easy, guys.
Right, guys. So moving on, Nicolas Pepe. Bertram, we're going to go with you on this one. We're still struggling with Ebony. We're struggling with bad.
So I give Pepe a 5. I think Pepe has an abundance of ability. I think he should play in the number 10 role. I watched a video today with Ben Affa scoring a goal against who, where a ball came to him. He dipped his shoulder. He turned around. The defender fell, and it was 3 against 3. He went through and scored. And Pepe, when he played against Liverpool in that first game, I think Emery had it spot on, where we had Van Dijk all over the place initially, but didn't put his chances away. He had Van Dijk. English football talks a lot about dribbling. I think dribbling is overrated if it's not effective dribbling and productive dribbling. It's one thing to dribble and beat 2 and 3 men. Did you create anything? Are you creating mismatches? So the dribbling has a purpose to it. I do think Pepe has an abundance of ability. I think he's extremely skillful. I think he's a very good passer. He's a very good left foot. But he has deficiencies. He turns the ball over like Sanchez used to.
Yeah,
he stops the ball every time he gets the ball.
You know that shit frustrates me, man. You know I don't like that shit at all, man. That winds me up. I don't like that at all. Yeah. He
stops the ball way too much. And what happens is when you stop the ball, you know what happens? Everything stops. You're not creating mismatches. You're not putting the defense under pressure. He needs to change that in his game. But I think if we move him to the middle, people don't understand this. When you beat the first person in the middle and you turn towards goal, defense scrambles. They don't know where to come to you or where to go wide and mark, right? You're creating mismatches. And we need that speed and that skill in the middle of the field. But I think overall for his season, given the reputation he came with, we didn't pay $70 million for him, by the way, because it's deferred. If you present value the number, it's about $50 million. Present value what we paid for him is not 70-something million. I don't buy into those numbers. Instead, you pay 70-something million, but you're paying over a 5-year period. You didn't pay $70 million. Eventually, it would be $70 million, but it's not real dollars, frankly.
But Bertram, I told you everybody was doing that before Arsenal. Arsenal's late to the game on those things. Most 89% of the contracts in the transfer market are done over a period of 2 to 5 years. We just didn't do it that way. We've only started doing it, so we were late to the game.
Look, I think I love Pepe's abilities. Forget about his productivity today. When you have that amount of skill, when you can beat a player on a dime, that's why I love Zaha. That's why I think we should still go pursue Zaha. Because I think what happens is these players have disdain for defenders. And when you have disdain for defenders, you know you can beat them at will, you create mismatches, you can score goals, you can help your teammates. So I give him a 5 based on productivity, but I think he has a capability to be an 8 or a 9 or even a 10 player.
So I've just
By the way, he needs to get stronger. He needs to go to the gym and get stronger.
So I've just got one question for you. Do you think because we've known that foreign players have struggled to adapt to the Premiership, do you think that is something that's affected him? And do you think that that's something that will help him moving forward?
I don't know if I would say it's a general statement to say foreign players don't adapt quickly. I thought Coutinho adapted quickly. Fernandes from Man U seemed to be adapting quickly. It's still early, but we have players who've come and adapted. Bergkamp didn't right away, right? So we do have players who struggle initially. When you're not as physical, and Pepe is not a physical player, that's part of his problem. That's why he needs to get stronger. When he gets stronger, put on some more muscle, he'll be better to take the physical pounding that the league you're going to experience in the league. But I do think he's going to be an exceptional player. I watch him at Little. He's going to be an exceptional player. He needs time, and he needs to be managed like Arteta is doing to be able to get the best out of him. But I think he's going to be exceptional. And, if we move lazy out, because I can't stop talking about lazy. If we move lazy out, it would be okay. We'll be fine.
And let's remember, the art of a player's temperament is who's pushing him from that spot. And I'm telling you now, Reiss Nelson is not going to lie down dead and give up hopes on that spot. He's going to push.
There is no comparison between the two. Guys, I hate to tell you this. There is no comparison between the players. Pepe has skills which Pepe doesn't know that he has. I'm telling you, Pepe has skills. You watch him play, you just think, this is ridiculous.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm saying that I think that you guys are underplaying Reiss Nelson's ability and his potential in a huge way. But listen,
he's a good player.
Can I just say, have you seen the interview with Ian Wright, Aubameyang, and Lacazette?
Nice one, Sonny.
No,
Sonny's just joined the chat. Nice one, Sonny.
Okay, check it out. In that interview, Ian Wright, Ian is is as on point as it comes. He lays it out. No frills allowed.
Totally agree.
asked the question, Aubameyang and Lacazette sat in a seat with Ian Wright. Boys, who's the most skillful player on the team? The two of them just fell over on each other and just went,
I saw
Pepe,
it.
bro.
Pepe, yeah.
Pepe is doing things in training. He's making man fall over in his face. Listen, when you watch that, you go, it's clear. Pepe is doing it.
Yeah.
And absolutely, Bertram, the man's skills are phenomenal.
It's off the
And
chart.
My favorite player is Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho is my favorite player. People who have skills which they make it up on the go. It's not rehearsed skill. They just make it up on the fly.
They just make it up. Yeah.
That's what Pepe has.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally, as soon as this guy gets a little bit of weight on his legs, as you said, and he gets acclimatized with this league, watch out. This is why when you encourage me and go, I keep saying it, presence blood, this kid next season
is gonna fire.
He's gonna kill this league.
Yeah, he's gonna fire.
Because I know what you're saying, Bertram. He does need to bulk up. He does need to acclimatize a bit more. But I've seen already enough, from last season at Lille and this season in a stronger, more faster league.
Yeah.
That next season, when he gets his game right and under Arteta.
Yeah, man's already posterizing players, him and Saka. That's why I keep saying to you guys, you've got bare assists on the left, bare assists on the right, and all them guys are doing, Pepe and Saka, is posterizing left and right backs. They're posterizing them. Yeah? If you don't know what the definition of posterizer is, look at the NBA in the dictionary. Yeah, man's dunking on defenders all day long.
Breaking ankles.
Listen, Tony, let's get your marks on Pepe. Listen, big shout out to Sonny in the chat. If you guys are not subscribed to Sonny's channel, please subscribe to his channel. He's got some great podcasts, and he's a hell of a guy. And listen, he's one of the best guys in the fan base to tell it how it is, tell it straight, unchained, unhinged, just tell it how it is. So please, guys, subscribe to Sonny in the chat right there. So listen, Tony, go ahead, man.
Okay, so I'm going to go on this topic that we just started, just briefly. Yeah, we talked about posterizing players and breaking ankles. Tonight, my son, the last dance. Are you on it?
Go on, man. Go on.
You know what I'm talking about?
No, go ahead, man.
ESPN tonight, the last dance. The
yes.
Of Michael Jordan's last season.
Yeah.
Must be watched.
Yeah.
For a man like you, must be watched.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on that.
I would not be watching it. I'm a Knicks fan. I have too many heartaches to be watching Michael Jordan. I'm a huge Knicks fan. I was in Patrick Ewing's era. The only reason we didn't win a championship was because of Jordan. They won 6 and we lost all of the 7. I'm not watching Michael Jordan. Sorry.
John Starks, listen, your front court was good then. Who was in your back court? Charles Oakley, John Starks. Was John Starks the point guard? Did he play at the one?
No, he wasn't a point. We had a bunch. We had Darryl Harper. We had a bunch. We had Mark Jackson. We had a bunch of point guards. Strickland, all those guys. The problem for us was we didn't have a good point guard. So we had Oakley and McDaniel, and Ewing up front. We had a very good front court. We didn't have somebody to break the defense down and create assists. And we could have beaten them. Charles Smith missed a layup. Game 6. I'm still having nightmare. Game 6. Charles Smith missed that layup. He blocked like 5 times. I'm not watching Michael Jordan. Sorry, Tony, I'm not watching.
Look, I lost to them. The Utah Jazz has never won a championship, and we lost to them. And it was just, you know what it was? That Jordan, Scottie Pippen. We're talking about 6'6" and 6'7" backcourt.
I'm sorry. Offensive foul on Russell. Offensive foul. That push off was an offensive foul. Sorry, offensive foul. Yes, offensive foul. He pushed off.
I know.
Clear as day.
I'm gonna finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, finish up. Aubameyang.
Okay, my bad boy Pistons showed Jordan what it was all about in his first season. Yeah, that's why I'm a Pistons fan till I die. Yeah,
I didn't know
Jordan.
that.
Yeah, he learned from Isaiah and Joe Dumas and the boys. Yeah, and once he learned, he was gone clear.
So what's your marks out of 10 on Pepe? Let's get back on Pepe.
But I have to say one more thing. The first time I ever saw Jordan live, I saw him twice. Once in Chicago, but the first time was breaking down the New York Knicks in the Garden.
And for those of you football fans, that's like winning a title at White Hart Lane.
Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay, Tony, we need we need your grade on Pepe, Tony. We don't want to talk about Knicks and Jordan.
Oh man, I never show. Anyway, sorry, Arsenal vlogs. I know I diverted the attention, but Nicolas Pepe, presence blood. Next season, he's gonna be the king of the league. But this season, I'm giving him an 8.5 for a good effort, and yeah, it's good. It's good.
Excellent.
Tony drinking white rum. Tony drinking white rum, 8.5.
So Arsenal vlogs, what's your opinion on Nicolas Pepe? And before you go ahead, I just want to say the biggest quote that Michael Jordan ever gave was he met Gary Payton after the 1991 All-Star game. And Gary Payton, who was also an All-Star with the Seattle Supersonics, walked up to Michael Jordan and he said, and Tony, you know about this story already. He walked up to Jordan, he said, I've got the car, I've got the house, I've got the yacht, I've got the mansion, I've got everything. What's the difference between me and you? And Michael Jordan said to Gary Payton, the difference is you paid for your shit. Go on. Go on, Arsenal Vox. Marks out of 10 for Nicolas Pepe.
My opinion on Nicolas Pepe, I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. I just feel a lot of people being a little bit critical on Nicolas Pepe, or like get all these little fans saying, "Oh, Pepe, you pay £72 million for this player, blah blah blah, all this stuff. This guy's not going to become good. He's a flop." Look, this is his first season, and
agreed.
This wasn't an Emery season. Yes, we have to pay it all in installments and all that, but I kind of feel that the only problem which Pepe lacks is his final third. If he can improve on his final third, I think this guy is going to be a really, really good start. And Mikel Arteta's come in. Okay, Pepe's actually done all right this season. But remember that game at Anfield. Okay, we lost the game, but Pepe outclassed Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson. And I think Pepe is going to become a really, really good player. If he can get the best out of Mikel Arteta, if Arteta can get the best out of Nicolas Pepe, and if we can bring some other players around him that can support Nicolas Pepe, I think he's going to be a really, really good start this season. But rating-wise, I give him a 7 out of 10. I just feel like he needs to work on his feet. He needs to work on the final third. He needs to obviously stop hesitating, stop panicking. But I think Pepe overall, I think he just needs to work up his standards a little bit more, like what Jay said in the chat. And that's about it, really.
So that's some solid marks there, guys. Considering, and this is where I stand, considering that Pepe has had to deal with everything in his debut season, he's done relatively well, in my opinion. He's had, let me see, Emery, Arteta, and Lumba. He's had 3 managers he's had to deal with in a new league, which he's had to try and work behind. He's not had a proper right back. He's not had Bellerin. He's had, to an extent, he did have Maitland-Niles, who again was second in the team in dribbles. He had some success there. The last few games, as you guys know, me and Graham from AFTV have talked about, he's not had any support. A lot of the stuff he's doing, he's had to make that shit up himself. Considering it's an extremely hard league to do anything in with the Premiership, and he's playing out wide. He's a little bit, at times, been a bit predictable with the shimmies and whatever. He needs to cut that stuff out of his game and move the ball quicker. He's shown signs that he can work with the system, and that's the reason why Arteta benched him in favour of Reece Nelson, and he had to fight his way to get back in the team. And we've seen a lot of good stuff from him. The best is yet to come from Nicolas Pepe. I'm going to give him a 7.5 out of 10 based on everything he's been able to do and based on his statistics as well. As I said, 9 games to go. This guy still has 5 goals and 8 assists this season, and I think he's going to get into double digits. And this is something that the likes of Ramsey, Mkhitaryan, Iwobi, and Welbeck, the guys before him struggled to do. I think he's going to hit that nail and hit that marker, and he's going to grow from there. So I'm going to go at 7.5 out of 10. And guys, so really that's all the starters. But we can discuss Reece Nelson and Martinelli, and we can discuss Eddie Nketiah. So let's go around quickly with that. Bertram, let's go all three at the same time. Let's go Nelson, Martinelli, and Nketiah.
Nelson 5, Nketiah 6, Martinelli 8. I thought Martinelli was underplayed throughout the season. I think from the preseason, he and Nketiah were our most effective players. I'm not sure why he was on the bench so much this season. He can play anywhere along the forward line. He can play on the left. He can play in the middle. He scores goals with his feet. He's our most complete forward, by the way. He scores with his head. He can beat a player. He scores with his feet. So I'm not sure why he didn't get more playing time. And I think as the season progressed, it gets hard. He probably gets tired. Nelson has a very up and down season, right? I mean, in and out of the team, injured, didn't demonstrate the same form he demonstrated in Germany the year before. Showed some flashes here and there. Was lost in some game, like Liverpool game. I thought he looked like he's a championship player. Not even that well, actually. He looked totally lost. Other games he has played better. So I expect more from him. I was surprised by Nketiah, given that he didn't get a lot of games at Leeds. Arteta felt comfortable bringing him back. And he had a lot of the attributes that, like I said, didn't have. He's quick. He's actually much more skillful than he's demonstrated because I've watched him play, and he can get by a player. He can score a goal. He's decent in the air. He's good with both feet. So I do think Nketiah is about a 6, given the season so far. Nelson a 5. But I think my surprise of the season has been Martinelli. And look, when Martinelli plays, guys, you get 100% effort, not these half sprints. He's busting a gut even in the 91st minute of a game. He's running as if his life depends on it. And I don't think the kid, he gets a lot of credit, but I don't think he gets a lot of game time to demonstrate that his performance warrant him playing more. And really, Lacazette get a lot of game time because of reputation. Martinelli get a lot of game time because of his performances.
So we had this conversation 2 weeks ago, Bertram, me, you, Tony, and Ebony, about all this stuff has been made about Handland in Germany with Dortmund, about how he can't stop scoring. And the only reason why Martinelli slowed down is because he hasn't been playing. He got that knock against Chelsea, and he hasn't really featured in the team strongly ever since. But we have just the same talent here, as good as Handland in Germany, and I totally 100% agree with everything you said there. Arsenal Vlogs, you want to go before Tony on this one? What's your opinion? And guys in the chat as well, we've got let's pull one up here. We've got 18 going with Reece Nelson 7, Martinelli 8.5, and Eddie a 7 out of 10. That's fair scores. That's fair shouts. What's your opinion on marks out of 10 for those 3 players, Arsenal Vlogs?
Reece Nelson 6, Martinelli 9, Eddie Nketiah 7. I'm going to start off with Martinelli. The reason why I've rated him for 9, I think Martinelli's been really, really brilliant. That's what Kadeem said. I think he's worked very, very hard. And when he came in when Aubameyang got suspended, when he got that red card against Palace, I think Martinelli's done very, very well. He's a guy that he tracks back, works very hard. He's really, really scaring defenders. And I think this guy's going to get even better and better. And I feel Martinelli is that guy. Like when he performed at Stamford Bridge, I think he played really, really well. And I thought he was probably the best player on the night. And we might not have had a really, really decent performance on the night. And we got 2 shots and we took them very, very well. But I think Martinelli overall, not just that game, I think he's done very, very well. With Eddie Nketiah, the reason why I gave him a 7, because I think he's done well since Lacazette's form's been absolutely poor. He's had a few games this season where he's obviously scored and he's made an interact around the team. Reece Nelson, why have I gone him from 6th of a lower rate? I just feel like, yes, he's done very, very well. He's scored important goals. But like I said earlier in this stream, I feel like he needs to contribute a little bit more. He needs to work on his rate a little bit more. And I feel like maybe give him a few first-team starters. I think this guy's going to be really, really good.
Okay, excellent. Some valid points there, I must say. Definitely agree with a few of those points for sure. Tony, what's your view, Tony, and your marks on Nelson, Martinelli, and Eddie Nketiah?
Okay, first and foremost, you've done Gabriel Martinelli a disservice by putting him in a group of three.
Yeah,
because you gave Emil Smith Rowe time.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
and
sorry
we
about that.
both
That's my
know
bad. I hold my hand up on that one.
The guy we should really been spending due time talking about is Martinelli. I like Arsenal vlogs. I've got to give him a 9 every time he plays. 100%. You know, in fact, I'm going to give him a 9.5 because I'm not seeing him have a bad game.
Actually, that's a good shout.
Him have a bad game.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
His effort and the goal against Chelsea, which don't forget we were playing with 10 men.
And everybody was moaning about, Aubameyang'S not here for three games. Who's going to be our striker? Where the goal's going to come from?
Yeah,
my man just stepped on the pitch and delivered.
The kid. I mean, just think about that goal against Chelsea. Who else? Probably Aubameyang, but nobody else would you have ever said could go from box to box, run past Willian and score that goal.
If you took the player away from the TV screen and that goal happened, I would have told you that was Alexis Sanchez. I would have said if you'd have played it back and showed it me, I was like, that's Alexis Sanchez. That's what I would have said. It was so indicative of how cheeky he did what he did. It was the cheekiest goal this season.
Kante did slip though.
It doesn't slip. Listen, Bertram. When I saw Theo Walcott run past the whole Liverpool team, man was running into each other. When I saw Thierry Henry run past the whole of the Spurs team from his penalty area all the way to scoring a goal, man was dropping all over each other, falling into each other like Keystone Cops. It's just
but that was a quick Theo. That was a quick Theo then, right? That was a normal speed.
He ran past 5 players.
Bertram, I appreciate that Kante fell, but do you really think Kante, from where he was, would have stopped that kid?
Nah,
because he was knocking it past him and just
he would have done what what's his name did, Zaha. He would have done what Guendouzi did to Zaha. He would have tackled him, right? And Guendouzi took Zaha down. He took Zaha out with a neck tackle, basically. It was a soccer tackle, so.
But yeah, I mean, the kid's phenomenal for me. He needs to be playing every game. And the excitement for me next season is to see the improvement that he's going to get. And like Pepe, he's going to build up his body as well. Reiss Nelson, I'm pretty much going with Bertram, 6'4", Reiss Nelson. No, 6'4", Eddie Nketiah, 5 for Reiss Nelson.
Okay, and we've got Ebony. Ebony's still with us. Ebony's gone for Eddie 7. A lot of people have gone for 7. I don't think anyone's given him anything else outside of a 7. Am I correct there? I think everyone's given him. Yeah, I think everyone's given him a 7. Nelson, most people have given him a 6 as well. And Martinelli, Ebony dropping it like a bomb in the forum. Yeah, 9.5. 9.5. Boy, there's a big things there, man. That's Olympic gold medal marks right there.
We love him.
Listen, that's solid. Okay, so I'm going to start with Reiss Nelson. Hasn't had the best of seasons that he would have wished for, again, due down to injuries. But since he's come back, he was able to provide Arteta with an option on that right-hand side, which put Pepe on the bench. And he's got some real work in that team as well. And showing that he can actually take that position from Pepe and interlink and push him as well. I think that's been good. I'd like to see him. I don't know whether Tony, you remember this because you used to watch the youth team as well. He played a few times at right back, Reiss Nelson. So I would have liked to seen him shift a little bit there, although Arteta's probably seen on film where he can work well. But we do know there's a big following from Lundberg and Per Mertesacker. So I'm just wondering whether that's something which is a possibility for the future. I'd really like to see him there. Having seen what Saka's done on the left, I think as a right back, boy, I think Reece Nelson would be really good as a right back. But in saying that, I think he's just got stronger and stronger. The FA Cup game where he had 2 assists was one of probably his best game this season. He was just floating past people, picking up the ball in dangerous areas, creating so much space for himself. And the 2 balls he played into the box that made the goal were brilliant. I think there's a lot. You guys know already. I really rate him highly, but I'm going to give him a 6 for this season. Gabriel Martinelli, boy, what can I say? I've said this to you guys on countless times. I'm going to say it again. For me, he reminds me of Ronaldo. He's just got the body. He's got his body, his physical body, and he's still growing. It's so strong. He's tall. He's leggy. He's 2-footed. His game intelligence is off the scale. His effort and ability to play defense and backtrack is probably among the best on the front line. We've got so much talent here. I just think there's this guy, there's nothing he can do. I think he is another Ronaldo in the making. I would be shocked if this guy's ability doesn't come to fruition under the likes of Mikel Arteta. We've seen what Arteta has been able to do with the players at Man City. What is he going to be able to do with some of these young guys that we've got, like Saka, Martinelli, Pepe, etc.? I can't wait, but I'm going to go for a 9 out of 10 for Gabriel.
Needs a buyout clause. He needs a buyout.
Yeah, I am not going to compare Martinelli to Ronaldo. I think you guys, when time passes, like people talk about Jordan and they forget. They actually forget over time. Ronaldo was ridiculous. And if he didn't get sick in the 98 finals, France would not have been world champions.
I wouldn't say it's ridiculous.
Ronaldo was sick.
I wouldn't say he was sick. I would say, if you remember the amount of spats that Alex Ferguson had when he was an 18-year-old, Ronaldo was reckless.
Oh, you're talking about that Ronaldo? Oh, wait. We're comparing a Brazilian Ronaldo. You're talking about the difference between Ronaldo, Brazil.
I'm talking about
okay. We're mixing up the original Ronaldo with the new Ronaldo.
When Cristiano Ronaldo was at Man United, he reminds me of Martinelli. And I actually think Martinelli is more gifted than Ronaldo is when he was 18, because then I'll tell you why, because I think Cristiano Ronaldo was reckless at that age, and that's why he got into some of the spats he did with Alex Ferguson. But what Martinelli is doing now, he's poised, he's so composed on the ball, and his intelligence is off the scale. I just think he's got more in his game. I really do. For Eddie Nketiah, well, you guys know what I feel about my boy Eddie. What have you done for me lately? I think Eddie, when he was at Leeds, he really destroyed the league supporters because the fans were so behind him, and it frustrated the fans why he didn't start many games. He was the 2nd top scorer, and every time you played him, he delivered in a substance. Hit the bar 4 times, 5 goals. And look, Arteta got one look at this guy for 4 days and said he ain't going nowhere. They were talking about him going on loan to Bristol City. They were talking about him going to Charlton. And Arteta got this guy over 72 hours before he said, this brother ain't going nowhere. And what's happened since we've played him? 3 starts, 2 goals, hits the woodwork twice. There is so much. I think he's a 25-goal-a-season striker. And you guys have heard me say, I'm going to say it again, he is the Andy Cole, Dwight York that Arsenal are looking for. And I don't care what anybody says. If you play him at the anchor for a whole season, the guy's going to give you... I said this about Walcott, and Walcott got 11 goals in 11 starts as a striker, and I've proved that to everybody. Don't need to talk about that again. Unfortunately for Walcott, the injury against Spurs when we won 2-0 at home, that kind of killed him as a striker because he never recovered from that, and Wenger didn't put him back there as well. But I think that this guy, Nketiah, is going to be dynamite for Arsenal. I really do. But in saying that, I give him a 7 out of 10. Yeah. And that's my grades for where he is at the moment. We haven't really left anybody out. Is there anyone, guys, you want to? I think we've done everybody. I think we did Joe Willock as well, didn't we?
What was Willock's grade overall?
I gave him a 3. I think he's just been awful this season. I think he was better last season. I just think the best game he had this season for me was the game against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup. He dominated that game, and the goal he scored was like, I see David Rocastle in him. But I don't know what's happened lately. He's been making late substitutions, about 70 minutes, and not been able to get into games at all, and just looked physically off the pace, mentally off the pace. I think he'll come back stronger. I really do. I think he'll come back stronger. So guys, we have we've actually got Listen, we've got Lacazette to talk about. There's a trade at the moment that they're talking about with him and Thomas Partey. I really don't know what to go about with that at the moment because I've only had it confirmed to me by 2 agents. It's definitely something they're talking about at the moment. Let me get your thoughts around the panel. Bertram, what's your thoughts on that at the moment?
I would bite off Atletico Madrid's hand for Partey. I mean, I think he's a complete midfielder. He's a centre midfielder we're looking for, and we need. I watched him against Liverpool in both legs, and he's a complete player. There are some players who are good on the ball and some players good off the ball. I think he can play both ways. He has enough quickness. He has size. He's a good passer. He's a good tackler. And we're crying out for a center. That's the most important position on the field. We need a belly. We do not have a belly. And look, like I said, it's expendable, right? We have Nketiah, we have Martinelli, we won't have Aubameyang, but we do have people who can play in that position. I think Aubameyang would also leave. I think, look, this may be fake news, but if there's something to the news, I do think it's a deal that we have no option but to make.
Yeah, Tony, Ashley, let's go Arsenal Vlogs. Arsenal Vlogs,
yeah.
Deal or no deal?
I would take it, in my opinion, because get rid of Lacazette. We need a holding midfielder, to be honest. And I feel Thomas Partey will be a really, really good spot. And I think we need to look at someone like him or Wilfred Ndidi, someone in that holding midfielder, because we've never replaced someone like Vieira. And I feel Lacazette wanted to go. He didn't want to come to Arsenal at first. He wanted to go to Atletico Madrid, but Atletico Madrid had a transfer ban. So I would be up for grabs. I will swap this guy and then maybe bring someone in young, because you've got the youngsters to come through like Martinelli, Eddie Nketiah, Saka, Reece Nelson. We need a holding midfielders. So I wouldn't worry about the strikers. Yeah, people might question and say where the goals are going to come from if Laka and Aubameyang go. But I would take Thomas Partey. I think he'd be a fantastic signing. He could be that holding midfielder, what we've been looking for. But it all depends what you're going to do with Lucas Torreira, what you're going to do with Granit Xhaka.
Yeah, and you raised a good question there. You were talking about where the goal's going to come from, and Wenger had this front four singing. He really did have this team singing, and the one thing you can't fault Wenger for is the goals. We talked about in 2016, 2017, when that season Ozil had 12 goals. Giroud had 16, Walcott had 19, Sanchez had 31. This team is nowhere near that production. We just don't know where the goals are coming from. And at some point, Arteta is taking it stage by stage. He's fixing the shape of the team, the mentality, the discipline, the defense. Right now, we're looking at the defense and the midfield that have been sorted out. I think next season is when he's going to focus on the strike force, and then we'll just see those changes go through as they come. But Tony, what's your opinion on that? What would deal or no deal? Would you take that?
Fake news, brother. Fake news. Fake news. I know what you're saying. Like, you've heard it through agents' mouths, but I just can't see how Diego Simeone this is his midfield dog.
Yeah, it is.
This is his midfield dog. Listen, it just makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, in saying that,
Tony, the only thing I would say is that they seem to produce these as if it's a factory, right? I mean, one thing about Atletico, somehow they have great scouting, and they seem to be able to get these players into those midfield positions. They do a poor job of the forward line, frankly. They always, Costa hasn't worked out. What's his name? Both players that came over from Chelsea haven't worked out. But somehow they have a factory that goes through the midfield. So don't disagree with you that it may be fake news, but somehow they have a factory to be able to produce those players, all of them that go through that midfield. So anything is possible.
And the player has talked about wanting to come to the Premiership. I know his contract's up in 2023. He has declined 2 contract offers from Atletico Madrid. So whether there's any truth to it or not, is this a deal that you would take?
It's a deal I do. I would 100%. I'd drive the guy to the airport to have that guy, because I've told you on many occasions, the midfield is the most important part of what we need to rebuild this summer. We have no midfield. Guendouzi apart, partially Torreira, but other than that, we've got no midfield.
Yeah, I think we need to cover that on next week's show. I was going to talk about Arsenal's most overrated player and Aubameyang's replacement, but I'm going to leave those two subjects until next week as well, and then we'll discuss the midfield because we need to come to the fact that we've never replaced Ramsey. And Ceballos doesn't look like he's going to stay, so we're in a real pickle at the moment. So let's focus on the midfield next week and next week's show. But guys, that's it at the moment for this week. We've gone to the 2.5 hour mark, which is the maximum that I can normally go at. And listen, we enjoyed these. These are great shows that we do, and we have an amazing attributes and comments coming from the panel and the forums below. So I want to thank our panel first of all. I want to thank Bertram. And I want to thank Arsenal Vlogs and then Tony.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and guys, that's where you can find everybody on Twitter, and obviously Bertram's on 101 forums. And listen, I want everyone to stay safe. #stay at home. And I want you guys to just let's do the best we can to provide the best content we can, and at the same time, just get through this, because we will get through this. We're starting to actually see some numbers level out and plateau. So listen, this could be a change or it could not be. Yeah, we really don't know. Still a lot of questions.
I think we shouldn't forget that the numbers may be leveling and plateauing because we have actually exercised social distancing. The question that arises is, when social distancing changes, what does that mean overall in terms of the numbers?
It's going to go back up again.
Yeah. Just keep washing your hands.
Exactly.
Keep washing your hands.
When do you think it would be over? When do you think it would be over?
I've always said it was going to be 3 months minimum. So I think the stimulus package ends on the 1st of June, and the 1st of June people have to go back to work because the government is no longer paying you 80% of your salary. So I think that we're going to try and hold tight for another 5 weeks, and I think in 5 weeks' time we'll be in a position to actually get more testing kits out. The UK are really doing a bad job at that at the moment. But I think in 5 weeks, we're going to see some big changes. And I also think we're going to change. I know my company, I think working at home is going to be something which is probably going to be the norm.
Let's hope they open pubs and gyms and restaurants. I don't know when they're going to be opening that. So
yeah, I think they will. I think there's a start of that happening. Yeah, there's a start of that happening now.
To the pub. Forget this social distancing rubbish. I want to hug my friends.
Yeah, I think there's a level of it coming out now. But the thing
I have no plans to be in any public social environment anytime soon.
People were saying
all this stuff about not happening. No pubs, no sporting event, no restaurants, not happening. Not happening.
All right, listen, guys. All right, listen, we have to bring the girls into this because the women are showing an inability to get together with their men at this point in time, and I don't blame them. Look, it's just something we got. This is where you find out what true love is really like. Yeah, if your girl really loves you for you, you would know that she's still with you because of who you are, not what you can do in a bedroom. Yeah. This is where you're truly tested. Your friendship is truly tested to the max.
And on that note,
I'm finished. All right, guys, listen. Thanks for the show and the panel. Great to have you guys as always. And we'll link up and we'll see each other on the other side, guys. Until next week. Yeah. Thanks for everybody in the chat room, and God bless everybody. And let's keep it tight, man. Peace out.
Stay safe, guys.
Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you.